can be understood. But one of the things I think the presentations should try to make out is over the past 5 years, how many of these craftsmen, how have we expanded them, or how the expertise uh, has increased? This, I think, we have to reassess, and the learning experience or the, treating the restoration sites as places for instructions and training should have been a very important activity, which I think DOA or Rohitji, I think some of them will have to uh, go into it and probably explain if the stock has been increased, or their capacity has been increased, or their competence has been increased. Uh, uh, if that has been done, then I think we would really have been a much better position. Having said that, I would say that uh, all the recommendations about trying to have a heritage-friendly procurement act is a very important thing, and I think uh, we, we, we should make moves with the government so that these changes happen immediately, because we don't have to wait for another earthquake to start using this, because as very soon I think the maintenance work of these monuments will start, and we'll be needing a procurement system that works. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you posed serious critical, suggestion to Department of Archaeology, in a way also National Reconstruction Authority. I think your comments are very much fundamental. I think they must have to be addressed or responded, and responded very seriously. Your challenge that whether we are really strengthening or weakening, that is, I found very, very much, a hard-hitting, comment from the side of professional. So that has to be taken care of. I think this is quite serious. Similarly, rescuing archaeological artifacts and restoration of DOA guidelines, whether DOA itself has been implementing its own guideline. This question also has serious implication actually. Similarly, community participation, we failed there. Community participation is not taking place properly. That also really, demands proper answer. We were thinking that community participation is taking place. We are incorporating communities as much as possible. So that is what also I think that is point of deliberation that has to be explored or discussed. And craftsmen, whether you increased stock of craftsmen or it remained stagnant, and whether their capacity enhanced. This is also a fundamental question for me. And you also supported Procurement Act that has to be amended, and you align with other colleagues. That is good. So I think we have we are going to have very lively discourse. May not be this program webinar may not be able to resolve, but these questions really demand real response in future. Having said that, I would like to go through some questions. Our colleagues, presenters must have recorded the questions raised by commentators, and we don't have much time. Actually, there are two questions I received. One was from Dipendra Sharma. It is a relatively long question. And similarly, Sachin Malegu. Two questions are there, but before going to them, I would like to invite first Damodar Gautam to respond the questions or comments that are raised by our commentators, and that will be followed by Dr. Rohit Ranjitkar. Damodarji, your response, please. Hello, Damodarji, are you with us? Hello, Damodarji. Otherwise, we can start with Rohit Ranjitkar. Let you start responding, and then by that time, Damodarji will also come back. Rohitji?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chandra sir.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Uh, Thank you for all the commentators. And I think there are lots of valuable comments which we will look after that. I don't see actually a real question to respond. Uh, if I am mistaken, is there any question for me?
It is like that. Actually, it is not directly towards you, but particularly Dr. Sudarshan Tiwari posed many serious, questions. Many serious questions are that whether we are strengthening the artifacts or weakening them. This is very serious question that also is applicable to you. Similarly, the second question was whether DOA has been implementing its own guidelines. That is another serious question that is also applicable to you. Similarly, community participation. What is your perception with regard to community participation? And craftsmanship is another area, capacity development. These are the questions. Similarly, um, Rohit Jigyashu also mentioned that the process end result is not only the issue, the process has to be also taken care of, whether you are following the process or not. And documentation, multiple level. And Quiru mentioned that Nepali traditional brick procurement is taking long time. That is, the sector has been experiencing that or not. And Christian Manhart, he also mentioned that cultural heritage, um, uh, this bidding process, he mentioned bidding process and then number of other issues as well. So it may not be particularly pointed to you, but you are implicated because you are the stakeholders in this process. So your response very briefly, not very in detail because we have limited time, very briefly, please respond.
Yeah, I will say like, in terms of strengthening the monuments, we are strengthening because uh, the temple or building is totally collapsed. We have to rebuild anyway. There is no other option. So somehow, when we all know, like the old tradition of masonry wall is three-layer wall, which is structurally not sound. Of course, we are not building as before, and no one is doing that because we all know that it is structurally unsound. So even using mud mortar, what we are building is uh, I have to say it's not traditional in a way in terms of technology. And where I talk about the new intervention, this is not changing the old technology as we are. I three-layer wall. Of course, we use mod mortar still today from the beginning, uh, but we have changed some technology building the masonry. Similarly, when some of the elements are broken after the earthquake collapse, for example, the stone pillar in front of the Bhimsen temple, it broken in the middle. So the only way to join is using the modern material. There is no traditional way to do that. If we talk about what is the traditional system to do that, so in old days, I think the broken pieces are thrown out and make a new piece. That is how the tradition we have. But today's context, as a conservation a principle, we have to save as much as old pieces. So we try to keep as much as piece with, as much as possible traditionally used materials. But when it comes, the traditionally used materials is inappropriate or won't work, then you have to do with the traditional material. Uh, Even the couple of pictures which I saw, like joining of the pillar in different way, when they collapse, they broken in the different way, and we have joined those, reusing the as much as possible used pieces. Of course, they are also modern technology. It's not old technology. So we have to incorporate some of the new technology in stainless steel because we don't use iron as it is uh, uh, you know it will take corrosion when it have damp. So this is how why I say like the intervention or what we are building is structurally better. because we have to
Sorry,
think about
Dr. Rohit, we are a bit depriving of time. Could you please prepare one response in written later on so that we can share, NRA will share among all participants.
it.
These questions will be recorded and then you can respond because these are really fundamental, issues the commentators have raised. That's why elaborating them may not be possible within this 5 minutes, response. Please record them and then, we'll come back to you later. Damodar Gautam, Damodarji, are you with us now? Hello, Damodarji. So it looks like to me that Damodar Gautam, he is extremely busy in his other obligations perhaps. That's why he could not be made available or alternatively what I suspect is his communication system is not functioning very well. That's why he is not there. But what we will do is, we will record all these issues, whatever you raised. I would like to recapitulate, our chair, session chair, as well as our Sushil Kewali, Chief Executive Officer, are here. I would like to recapitulate Christian, they are already there. So, they will address in response. It is not necessary actually. Dipendra Sharma's point was there. This exit strategy, we are preparing exit strategy. And then Sachin Malegu mentioned that whether we can share the slide. Of course, we'll also not only slide, our whole documentation process or documents we will be sharing with you. Having said that, I would like to request our Chief Executive Officer to comment on the issues raised by paper presenters as well as commentators. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Chandra. Thank you all the paper presenters for your very comprehensive presentations and the very much informative presentations, I would like to say. There are a couple of sort of the experiences and the learnings that have come up through your presentations, which are also valid. And also there are the different level of these the feedback and suggestions that have come up from the commentators. I think some of the points that we have to also the take forward from this the program, from this the seminar in different areas. One of the area that I think that we have to enhance ourselves is there is a need of the special capacity building program to be launched, especially for the engineers and the archaeologists, so that and the architects, the conservation experts, so that on the basis of the traditional heritage conservations and the special sort of the program is to be designed and also to be launched. In this regard, I think DOA and the Ministry of Culture has to look into and then how that can really be developed and also be enhanced. One of the problem that has been mentioned is that from the contractors, whatever sort of the procurement that is being made and the construction works, the restoration work is being made through the contractors, there is a certain level of lacking of the capacity of the contractors themselves, or there is a certain level of negligence. So in that regard, I think there is a need because every set of monuments will not be possible for the conservations through the community groups, through the users group only. There is a need that we have to enhance the capacity of the contractors. Our contractors have been used to, especially for the concrete structure, for the modern technologies. So there is a need that we have to enhance even their capacity. Special sort of training program or orientation program would be needed, even for the contractors and even for the consultants as well. So there is a need that we have to special sort of program packages to be designed, engineers and also the DOA officials as well. So this is one of the sort of lessons or the learnings that we have to take away, and in the future we have to design on that. Second aspect is that there is a tension always coming up between the structural integrity and the archaeological conservations. There is a need of I think Rohit Jigasu has properly mentioned, and then especially mentioned that there is a need of the value assessment as well as the safety assessment. And then we have to come to the conclusion on that. So that is very, very important. And this assessment part and the analysis part and the resource part, actually, that has to be enhanced so that we will be able to restore the monuments in a proper level. That is very, very important. And the third aspect is especially the craftsmen and the masons. So there is a need that we have to honor them And at the same time, I think the Sudarshan Tiwari later on has also raised that this, to what extent that we have been able to develop the craftsmen, to what extent that we have been able to develop the masons for the conservation works. So there is a need to have a certain record, and as well as the certain level of the capacity building program, or the training program, or the orientation program is to be designed and then the develop on that. Maybe a special training centers is to be established. I think that's sort of in that area also, that to this certainly NRA together with the DOA, that we have to work, and then we have to also this enhance in this area. And the fourth area, certainly the tangible and intangible heritage should go hand in hand together. So in this regard, the engagement of the community, the participation of the community, that has also been to a certain extent the question by Sudarshan Tiwari, that what we really mean to engage the communities, and then the how that would be possible, what sort of the guideline that we should have. If there are the contractors being engaged, even in that situation, how the community's input can be taken. So there is a need that the community engagement, sort of the process and guideline that we also have to prepare. And the regular maintenance, this sort of the guideline and the process, that is also very, very vital. And the resources are to be diverted for this purpose. So one of the resource that is based on the tourism that is being created through these cultural heritage sites, yeah, that is to be allocated for the maintenance of those heritage sites as well, the monuments. So that is another area, I think, that sort of the suggestions that has come up, which is also the learning of this sort of this exercise, this reconstruction process that we have done. And the heritage as a living culture, and the urban quality of life is to be enhanced. I think that is another point. It is very, very important that we really have to enhance in the future. And the communication coordination among the various levels of the government. So now the country has already entered into the federal system. Now there is a need that we have to finalize the roles and responsibilities of the different levels of the monuments, and who will be responsible for what. Let's say the federal government, DOA, the provincial government, and the local government agencies, and even the communities. Who will be responsible for which level of the monuments by which level of the government, and who will be monitoring on that, who will be guiding properly on this. So there is a need of a proper level of this. The delineation of the clear roles and responsibilities is very, very important. And some of the points that has also been mentioned here is from the Chinese set of the experiences, that they are mentioned that they are following the international laws and standards along with the Nepalese laws and standards, and they have been respecting the local traditions and the practices, and the local craftsmen have been used as much as possible. So that is the different set of these suggestions and the feedback that are coming up, and then which are really very, very valuable, and then that are to be also addressed. One of the area, especially in the Kokana, Bungmati, which the Christian Manat has raised, that the concern of the UNESCO actually on that part. This in the Red Book this year, we have allocated the fund and the resources with the assistance of the government of India, and we are will be as per the best of the traditional plan, and that has been developed. We'll be able to implement this also in the traditional sort of these settlements, renovation and restoration should be possible. We are also thinking in this area as well. That is another point that there is also a need. I think the documentation of the different sort of the monuments, which about the process and also the outcomes. I think that is also to be given the due consideration. And one of the point that I really would like to take note of by Dr. Dwight Jingasu, that recovery is not an outcome only, but it is a process. And then we have to have a proper level of documentations, and that proper level of the this assessment, and then which is also highlighted also by Rohit Ranjikar and also the presentation from the DOA. So we really take these all the feedbacks and suggestions, and these the compendium document will also be revisited, and also the finalized, and also in the remaining sort of the restoration work that we have to do will also be utilized, the knowledge and the experience that has been gained through this process. So with this, I thank you all, and then my sort of the observations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we are coming close to the this session. Now I would like to request our session chair, Kishore Thapa sir. You have 15 minutes time actually. You have but 5 minutes more than Earlier, we were facing a bit scarcity of time, but now it comes to your advantage. You have additional 5 minutes, and then you cover 5 minutes and also conclude this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Chandra Shrestha. The respected CEO of NRA, Mr. Sushil Gewali, the paper presenters, distinguished commentators, panelists, and all the participants of this session. Actually, these the 2 hours that we passed through was very, very exciting, informative, and very thought-provoking also. And the two presentations, one from Department of Archaeology and other from Dr. Rohit Ranjitkar, Kathmandu Valley Preservation Trust. These two papers highlighted the ground issues, the real issues in implementation of the restoration of the heritage monuments and heritage sites. And the comments made by our distinguished commentators on these, based on those two papers, not only raised the reiterated the issues of the paper presenters, but also highlighted some other aspects of restoration and reconstruction of the heritage sites. So I thank both the paper presenters and the commentators. And I have Dr. Chandra Shrestha's intermittent comments was very interesting. I mean, you have also captured some of these very important issues, which I have also noted down. Number one, all the paper presenters and the commentators, they raised the issue on these procurement acts, the procurement legislation of Nepal. I feel that, and from my experience of almost 32 years, and in this contracting and procurement sector, I feel that the main problem lies not in the legislation. The problem lies in our intention. The problem lies in the interpretation of our rules and regulation. We try to interpret the rules and regulation as per our convenience. We don't like to come out of our comfort zone. I have in my hand the Procurement Act and regulation at my disposal now, and I was going through the provisions of these rules and regulations, whether these rules and regulations are the main obstacles for our restoration of these heritage sites. I think that these are not the obstacles. It has opened up so many avenues, so many windows, but we people, we try to take the easiest route. We try to take we like to keep ourselves in our comfort zone. We like to be immune to all the oversight agencies so that we go for our tendering process. Let me tell you that tendering is one of the many options given by our procurement rules and regulation. We have many other, we can go for user committee, we can go for actual, we call it amanat. Amanat means payment of the wages, direct payment of the wages system. We can go for limited tendering. In a conservation, in a restoration of heritage monuments, I think the limited tendering is the best option for us, but we never go for that. We blame our rules and regulation. That's my observation. Number two is, over the period of almost last 5 years since the earthquake, the public procurement regulation was amended 10 times. So all the people, we people who are in this heritage sector, have we raised voices about the amendment in the procurement regulation with respect to the heritage sites? Have we done that? I think we have not done that. The construction entrepreneurs, the construction companies, they are very, very proactive, and they raised their voices and they were able to get these amendments for their benefit. I doubt whether these amendments are the benefit for the country or the people at large, but for their benefit, they were able to do so. But what about the conservationists? Have we done that? I think we have not done that. So this is very high time that if we people think that these procurement rules and regulations are the real obstacles, there is an option for amendment for that. We can amend the rules, we can amend the act. We can lobby from our part, go to the parliamentarians so that they can amend both of these acts and the regulation. We can do that, but till now we have only criticized, but not given the solutions. We have not approached our lawmakers to do that. So that's one thing. Next is how to balance our modern engineering and our age-old construction techniques, which has been handed over from generation to generation. We have to make a balance for that. And since we believe in build back better, I mean, we cannot leave the occupants of these heritage monuments, the devotees, the priest, we cannot put their life in danger. I mean, we don't like to see people being killed from these fallen structures. We cannot afford to do that. So that we have to make a balance between these two. So my opinion is that we have to follow the traditional techniques as much as possible, but it has a limitation. Once we identify the limitations, we can explore the modern techniques, which have been used in Nepal as well as elsewhere. That we have to do. So we cannot be so much emotional that we should not go for modern sin. I mean, the society is always progressive, and we should go for progressive approaches in our construction techniques also. But we should make sure that whatever these indigenous techniques, the age-old construction techniques are there, if it is workable, if it is practical, if it is proven, if it is well researched, we can adopt that. But we cannot choose anything on an emotional basis. There should be rational, there should be evidences, as Dr. Rohit Ranjitkar said. I mean, all our interventions should be based on the actual research, investigation, and the evidence. So without evidence, people's emotional statement will not help us in restoring these monuments to our desired standard. And another thing is that, I mean, this is very high time that we build our capacity, not only in DOA, not only Department of Archaeology. We have to build the capacity of our construction companies also. I mean, we have seen that so many construction companies, big or smaller, they are engaged in our restoration of these monuments. There are international foreign construction companies also. We can engage our construction companies with the international construction companies so that we learn the modern techniques. We can learn from our Hanuman Doka restoration project. We can learn from Patan, and we can learn from so many other projects also, so that our construction companies are capable enough. And we have to go for specialized construction companies. In our country, we have companies which are specialized in hydropower. Some are in road sector, some are in bridges, some are in transmission lines, some are in water supply. Why not we have specialized construction companies in heritage restoration, heritage reconstruction? We can go for that. For that, the government, especially the Department of Archaeology and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, they have to take the lead so that we build the capacity of our nation. I mean, only if we build the capacity of only a particular ministry or department, that will not help. The whole society, the capacity of the whole society, the national capacity should be raised so that in future we can cope up with the future disasters. And another thing is, in another area which we have to really seriously research, seriously investigate is the role of the user committee also. I mean, over the period of almost 5 years, many users committees have been very, very active, and they have produced good results also. But this is very high time that what is the limit of these users committees? What is the capacity of these committees so that we can allocate certain level of projects to them? I have seen that in many user committees, they are just working as a middleman only. They are not working as a real worker. They are there just to facilitate only. They work as a facilitator only, not as a developer, not as a constructor. So if these committees are given only the role of facilitation, and how the concept of the user committee is fulfilled. In my opinion, the user committees should also contribute some financial contribution, some money also, some money, expertise, and labor also in that project. Only in that case, the real knowledge, the capacity, the real skill of those people can utilize in the projects. Otherwise, if they work as a middleman, if they work as a facilitator, and if they engage other contractors, informal contractors, then we don't need such type of user committees. So the policy of engaging user committees should be very, very clear. And it is very high time that we develop our manuals, we develop our guidelines, because we can test all our manuals and guidelines at site. And these time-tested manuals and guidelines will be very, very useful for our future endeavor in the future projects. So this is we can utilize this period of restoration period, this reconstruction period, for upgrading, for revising, and also, preparing a new guideline so that our future generation will not suffer as we have suffered this time. So with this observation, I am not an expert on heritage, but I'm just have witnessed this heritage reconstruction over the last 5 years, and being the expert member of National Reconstruction Authority also, it is my responsibility to see whether the whole reconstruction process is going in the right direction or not. I feel that I feel quite satisfied, and we all feel proud that we will do something great in our heritage sector, and will show the international community that we have not only completed our restoration of all the damaged buildings, but we have also adopted a very practical, very practical approach, and very innovative approach, innovative process in doing so. As Rohit Jigyasu said, heritage reconstruction is not only the outcome, it is the process. So the process, the most important thing, that whether we follow the right process or not. And I feel that we are following the right process, we'll complete our target also, and we'll produce such a tremendous knowledge which will be useful for our people in Nepal as well as in the other parts of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Well done. Thank you, everybody. Now, our next session will start. I would like to request our Sushil Gemali sir to initiate the third session. Deepak ji.
It is really the sessions are very much hectic, I would like to say, and then we are one after another without having the time that the losing the time. We are initiating and then starting the new sessions. Now, I would like to welcome to you all in this new session, the third session, that is the public building and infrastructure. And in this session, the session will be chaired by Dr. Hariram Parajuli. He is the executive board member of NRA. And there are quite the short presentations, but there are quite a number of presentations that we have because of the different nature of the public infrastructures and the public buildings. We are divided these presentations into four different small presentations. First is Engineer Bharat Prasad Aryal from the NRA head office. He will be presenting around 10 minutes. Engineer Amrit Srestha, CLPI Jimali, about the social, the public infrastructure, especially road infrastructures. And the Dr. Yuvraj Paudel, he will be presenting on the CLPIO education, especially in the education sector. And the architect Raju Neupane from the CLPIO building, especially the public buildings. These are the four presentations. And on this, we are having four different commentators. Mr. Lu Yin is from Shanghai Construction Group Company, overseas business department. He will be this commenting first. Then after the Mr. Krishna Lamsal from JICA, Dr. The Mohammad Khan from USA, who will be supported by Dr. Arjun Koirala, and the Puna Kadaria, who is the ex-secretary and also as an independent expert, he will be commenting on these papers. So now these sessions, I would like to request Dr. Haram Prajuli for taking the chair of this session and then this convening and the conducting the session. Now, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, respected CEO, Engineer Sushil Gemali, our colleague executive members, and all the staffs from NRA, and all the audience from domestic and abroad. I would like to welcome in this public infrastructure, public building session. And this session basically includes all the infrastructures such as reconstruction of education buildings. It includes schools and universities and other academic institutions. And other is health facilities. It includes health posts and hospitals and other critical facilities. And third one is government buildings, all the government offices buildings and security forces buildings. And other part, main part is road infrastructure that we have been building in this our tenure. And other infrastructure such as water supply systems, irrigations, and food trails. And there are many support structure we have been reconstructing since from beginning. And almost we will cover all the infrastructure, public infrastructure in four presentations. And I would like to request Engineer Bharat Prasad Aryal. He's our Joint Secretary. He is making presentation about probably about government buildings and security forces, and main responsibility by NRE's center. That the two strategies we have done ourselves, and the other by government ministries. Probably Engineer Bharat Prasad Aryal will focus on these parts. I request to make your presentation. Please, Bharat sir.
Thank you, sir. Respected CEO, sir. Respected Secretary, respected executive members, and good afternoon to all. My companion theme is public building and social infrastructure. It is the enabling process space for state citizen engagement. In the case of earthquake, Gorkha earthquake, there is a tremendous. So many of the public building was damaged, and then some of them are reduced in the rubble also. So to provide the service of the people, that public civil servants, and then we have to provide the services from some ground, some open space, and some tent and shelter and so on. That is the horrible situations. Over 150,000 security forces, and then government officials, health worker were deployed, and aid for the rescue and all. So my presentation is this one, public building and social infrastructure. Basically, we have divided in 4 parts. Uh, at the education sector, building like in schools, colleges and university, CLPIU education will present on this one. Similarly, for official buildings, government offices, and then the quarters, all it will be presented by CLPI building, and some infrastructure basically on roads will be presented by Jimali. So rest of the other social infrastructure I'll going to present on this one. Next. Yeah, public building and social infrastructure this overview. In 2015, healthy building restoration required 1197. That was 541 complete damage, 653 partially damaged. Secondary building damage 440. Reconstruction from NRA, it was only 216 was assigned to NRA. Water and sanitation scheme damage 3,212. And similarly in irrigation, approved scheme for repair around it was 26. In 2020, what we achieved, health fitting, we have completed 698, that is 58% only. And similar security building, it is 207, 96%. Water supply sanitation system completed 791, that is 25%. Irrigation system, that is 23, 89%. Basically, in the health building, previously it was that progress is low because previously it was that implementation in the Ministry of Health was ready to implement the project. Later on, it could not do it, and then it was transferred to NRA and CLPI building. In the first year, there was no deficiency of budget also. So there is a little bit late for the reconstruction of the health building. Similarly, there is a good progress in security and other project. In case of water supply sanitations, around 1,751 out of 30,212, 751 projects has been transferred to water supply department. So only 791 have completed. Next. Yes, what are the challenges and issue? Institutional organization capacity building of building agencies missing because we have several donors were involved in our projects. So we need some type of training and enhancements of the capacity for the project manager, as well as like in procurement, and then the guidelines of the donor agencies, and then financing agreement and all. I think that is some lagging is there. Similar delay in the selection of education agency, because just like in the health billing, because there was delay. Who execute the project, that was delayed, that's for selection. Similarly, expectation and quality gap divergences. Basically, cost, quality, and time is very important in any project. There seems that there is a variation in cost. Similarly, there is a delay completion, that is the time lapses. Similarly, so we have to manage all the things. So there is some, still we have find divergence over there. A delay in donors concurrence, because we have, as I have already told, that there are, in case of security forces, IDA, ADB, and government of Nepal and other European Union, they were the funding agencies, because they had the different guidelines, and also it takes time to make the documentation. Also, sometimes it is delay in the concurrence. Also, we have some issues on this one also. In the case of operational contract, capacity of the contract is lacking, because it was an emergency project. NRA, there's limited time we have to do the works. So efficient contractors should be there, but we have seen that efficient contractor capacity is not what we expected. There is some lagging in capacity of contractor. Similarly, ability of a land for health project, because there is a question debate on the land. Similarly, that provision of periodic maintenance, we didn't have the maintenance culture for the public infrastructure, not in the routine maintenance and the periodic maintenance. This is also our issues, and lack of ability of laborers and skill human resources, because in some of the cases for special projects we need the specific type of skilled labor. Similarly, so there is a lack of even if we see if we study the labor force of Nepal and all, because most of they have been to overseas. So still there are some lagging in skill as well on skilled labors, and problem with accessibility of during the floods and landslide, because yes, due to the earthen roads and then the river crossing, lack of river crossing, like bridges and culverts and all, at the time of monsoon, it's difficult to go in the sites and to transport the construction materials and so also that is the problem. The next one. Yeah, build back better. This is very important, and then it should be operational. It should be aesthetic. It should be resilient structure. So technology starts at different level, because this should be transferred. Even that local government and provincial government are also responsible for this public infrastructure building. So this can transfer to them, and demand driven and standardized structure, because the structure what we have to do is that what is the demand, what is the requirement, yes, and what is the standard of use of this structure, public infrastructure. So we have make the strategy in the like that. Similarly, participatory and consultative engagement with key stakeholders, because this is very important. We have to consult with the clients, we have to consult with the contractors, we have to consult with the experts and supervision consultant as well, because that will definitely make our result very good. Similarly, policy implementation for reconstruction of resilient building and system. This is the revision of NBC 1994. Yes, just approved by the government of Nepal. That is one of the basic milestone for the resilient development. Similarly, personal guidelines are formulated, because NRA we have formulated guidelines in procurement as well as NDO guidelines, users committee guidelines to ease our program project. Similarly, we have implemented our projects by some of the SMCs, INGOs, contractor, user, even with the development partners also. Basically, in our project, that NRA responsibility is overall coordinations. Basically, that for the implementing parts, CLPI building and the CLPI DLPI building and Jimali are basically in the case of building. Building is responsible. In case of infrastructure, CLPI, DLPI, Jimali is responsible. Next. Yeah, lesson learned. Quality assurance both in process and result is vital. Wider consultation, stakeholder engagement. Yes, to get the result, achieve desired result, we have to consult different stakeholders. Since satisfaction and trust of people must be maintained. Advocacy of human resources from the outset, because there is the questions of ability of human resources, skill and unskilled manpower, artisan and technicians and all. So that should be educate. Otherwise, we cannot achieve our target and goal. We have the multiple approaches and modalities we have adopted. We have adopted contractor. We have engaged contractor, users, users committee, community-based organization, and all. And adaptation and also land use plan and building, because we have in case of private housing also, what we have seen, there are so many vulnerable areas that building were built in vulnerable areas. So we have to use this land use plan and this risk-based land use plan is very essential. Next. Conclusion. Military, health, water, transport sectors are of prime importance and require special attention for disaster risk reductions. Detailed prior assessment and strengthening of the structure is needed, because before we implement the project, we have to have the detailed assessment. Otherwise, it will be it can be started at the appropriate time. Similarly, in the case of DRM for disaster risk management for disaster resilience in development work, now yes, this component is very essential. Like not only in the central government, it is important for local government and then provincial government as well. Effective enforcement of technical instrument is a building codes. Yes, building codes, there is some differentiation in the building code and building bylaws of the local government, even in Kathmandu metropolitan city and central government also. So that should be uh, similar, and then that should be effective enforcement should be there. So the next one is the special attention to the contract manager, because this is still what we expect from the contractor and then project. There are some difficulties arises everywhere. So we have to make the special attention on the contract and in case of procurement and all. So that is very important for in our projects. Yes. Implementing agency users of structure identified immediately after the damage assessment, because there was a delay on the health billing as well as like in health buildings. So because that once we identify the damage assessment, who implement the project, we have to yes, we have to immediately immediately confirm this one. Conservation of historical structure like line of demarcation, because in case of in some cases what to do, either it should be retrofitting or either reconstruct, there is a questions. So it should be at the time of damage assessment, it will be clearly defined. This structure should be retrofitted, this should be reconstructed. If we have to other factors like in social and others, heritage values and all, we have to define at the time so that we can timely confirm on this one. Standard code of practices promulgated at the earliest. So in the case of retrofitting, still we have not code. So it will standard code will be very easy for us. Overall strategy planning result into economic gain, and yes, planning what were the resources with us, that we have to overall what we have to do, what are the responsibility, that overall strategy planning should be there. And we have to prioritize that our work, so that frontline and others, we have to prioritize this one and follow this one. And then our multi-stakeholder approach required additional attention paid to inter-agency communication. Yes, communication is very important, and we have to communicate in all the levels so that we can get the desired results. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat sir, for your very concise and very good presentation. To save time without making any delay, I would like to request next presenter, Engineer Amrit Seshta, to make presentation. Amrit, are you with us?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Please, your time. Please make presentation about your area. Probably it is in the road infrastructure that we have been reconstruction.
And edits was also.
You have a 10-minute time, and please, time is yours. Please start your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Namaste and good afternoon to all the respected sir. I am very much glad. I am very much pleased for providing this opportunity for sharing the experience of social infrastructure reconstruction, road, and somehow in the waste sector also. Please next. In my presentation covers overview, challenges and issues, strategies and approach, lesson learned, conclusion, and key messages. In overview of road sector in 2015, total damages was assessed in the road and bridge sector was reported in the PDNA was 21.874 million rupees, which identifying the total need of reconstruction of 612 kilometer of DRCN road and 360 kilometer of VRCN road. Similarly, 94 kilometer of DRCN, 89 kilometer of VRCN road to be rehabilitated. Based on the PDNA report and approach selection recommendation for reconstruction of 1142 kilometer road and 89 vehicular bridges are recorded in the PDRF. In 2020, where we are standing in the road and bridge sector, overall we have achieved 83 kilometer of roads are reconstructed. In remaining 589 kilometer, 203 kilometer and 15 vehicular bridges are under reconstruction. Its progress is 80%, and this will be completed by the end of July 2021. Because of the government policy and budget constraint, some prepared DPR of 356 kilometer road and bridges were handed over province for the reconstruction. By implementing this project, about 544,000 people get the easy access, and creating employment generation was about 5.4 billion works day. Please next. Please next, sir. In my topics in the road, but yesterday they adding this waste sector also. In waste sector, total damages and losses was around 11.4 billion Nepalese rupees during the PNA was identified, and total damages water supply scheme in major damage is 2,370 and partial damage of 5,424. And similarly, in 31 district private toilets, damages are 388,000. The recommendation for reconstruction of 3,212 water supply scheme. In 2020, where we stand in Bharasar also already present this, water and sanitation schemes are completed 791, and under construction is 670. Remaining water in government policies, this remaining water supply scheme was handed over Department of Water Supply, Sanitation and Sewerage for reconstruction from the government regular process, keeping priority for this reconstruction project. Please next. Please next, sir. Challenge and issues of road construction and the social infrastructure construction. Institutional and organizational. The gap in appropriate organization setup. Now, for overall reconstruction, NRA was established. For implementing the reconstruction project was carried out by the concerned Dynamics Department initially. There was a gap in chain of command in organizational structure. Gap in human resources for implementation. After the political restructuring of the state, the human resources are distributed in 3 tiers of the government: central, province, and local level. There was unavailability of human resources in implementing unit in the especially technical personnel. Gap in late started to the delay in finance processing and approval. After the earthquake preparation, DPR preparation, financial processing and approval, the reconstruction work was started 6 months later than planned period. A gap in the interagencies coordination and support. In the regular staff in the line agencies, they are doing their day-to-day work. They are unable to support regularly to the project for implementation of resettlement plan and tree cutting issues. In operational level, the time to settle of the tree cutting and resettlement of resettlement issue like retransfer for providing clear working site to the contractor for reconstruction. After the earthquake, there was developed a lot of cracks and fissures which are activated during the rainy season, trigger the landslides, hindering the rehabilitation reconstruction process and causing the new damages. Contract managed capacity. In our implementation unit, there is a deficiency of the competent project manager and their frequent transfer and the lack of project management training. They are unable to handle the contract properly. Then some disputes arises between the owners and contractors. Handed over for completed project. After completion of the road and bridge project, these are handed over to the concerned provinces after the tenure of NRA, how they will carry out the maintenance during the DLP. Some projects remain is DLP, and how they will carry out after the DLP also. Please next. Strategies and approaches. Reconstruction of a road and bridge project with the principle of Build Back Better BBB. Environmental and climatic factors are considered during the design. for during the design for rebuild structure resilience in monsoon and future disaster. Coordination with the relevant actors, including the PDNA secretary during the damage assessment and project selection, project formulation, and multi-stakeholder approach was applied for reconstruction in central government, provincial and local governments are also engaged. Next. Lesson learned. Reconstruction project require their own independent basket fund, organized restructure, and human resources for smoothly carry out of the project. And approval of multi-year procurement plan and three clearance in a project site should be delegated to the reconstruction authority for uninterrupted reconstruction work, because we are facing 2 years for tree clearance in the project site. Applying the improved standard which contributes to the resilience and sustainable to the projects. Inclusion of expert from the district forest office, district land revenue office within the project structure for a smooth implementation of social safeguard activities like detransport against tree cutting issues. Establishment of effective monitoring indicator with detailed implementation schedules and human resources deployment chart, equipment schedules, and establishment of project management information system to ensure the progress and quality monitoring and timely completion of the project. Next, please. Next, please. Conclusion. Selection of sub-projects should be quantitative undertaken by the experts with the guidelines developed for reconstruction and cost-benefit analysis. After establishment of resettlement plan, land acquisition and reconstruction contracts should be awarded if we do this and there is no interruption during the construction work carried out. Types of road surface and work volume, geography, contract periods should be defined. And in general, we'll use to give the 18 months for any type of any volume of the project, which sometimes is always become issues of EOT. Mechanism for transferring the lesson learned pre and post disaster management between the communities and risks should be designed and adopted. For better coordination among the line agencies, during the project preparatory document, it should be clearly stated with the roles, responsibility, and time frame, which will not make any confusion during the implementation phase. Please next. Please next. Key messages. Better road connectivity, reduce the travel time and cost, and also increase the freight volume and mobility, which enhance the reconstruction and recovery process. And also the road structure will also help the reconstruction of other activity like as a private housing reconstruction, school building, and this will make it easy for transportation of the material, reconstruction material. Reconstruction of the road and bridge work generate a local level employment opportunity to support a vulnerable household, and it helps the recovery process. Improve connectivity, provide the easy access to the market center, public service center, enhance economic activities, and reduce the migration trend. If there is a better road and better accessibility, people will like to stay in their own place. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I finished my presentation.
Thank you, Amritji, for your nice presentation. Now I would like to request Dr. Yuvraj Paudel to make your presentation regarding educational facilities. Please, time is yours. You have 12-minute time allocated.
Thank you.
Please
thank you, Chair. Respected Chair, good afternoon to all. It is my honor to be here and present some of the major achievements, challenges, strategies, and lesson learned in the reconstruction of the school building after 2015 Gorkha earthquake in Nepal. This shows the position, situation in 2015-2020 in the reconstruction of the school building. Around 8,000 schools were damaged, and around 70 university campuses was damaged by the 2015 Gorkha earthquake. And the estimated cost, according to PDRF, is about 1806 million US dollar. Out of 7,923, 370 schools were merged, and now the total reconstruction target became the 7,500, around 53. So out of this, 6,085 schools were constructed already. So the total achievement progress till date is 80%. So this is a very good progress. And 20% school is ongoing in reconstruction. So we'll be targeting by this Nepalese fiscal year. That means the July 2021. We are planning to complete all the reconstruction of the school building. A major reconstruction will be completed by July 2021. So regarding the university and college, it is a little bit lagging late. It's because at the beginning, immediately after earthquake, it was managed by the University Grant Commission, and they already completed around 32 campuses, renovated and reconstructed. And then, the NRA taken over, and then it, give the responsibility to CLPIU. At the moment, 38 university and campuses, DPR is ongoing. These are some challenges what we faced during the implementation. At the beginning of the reconstruction, we do not have such institutional, the mechanisms. We did not have such kind of, the mega disaster to handle from the government side in the past. So we do not had such kind of big institutions to handle it, and so it's a big challenge for us. We started from zero and ground zero, and then we set up the different central level and the local level institutions. And the NRA was set up, from the support of different, the manpower from different organizations, the government organizations as well. At that time, there is no elected local bodies. They are the main actor and the stakeholders, where we can support, we can take a support for the implementation. So there was a big challenge at that time, and also the reconstruction in 31 districts. So different NGOs, INGO, different development partners, and political parties, intergovernment coordination was a bigger challenge at that time. That we need to develop the different kind of mechanisms for that. We need to develop the different kind of policy guidelines and codes for the reconstruction. That was the bigger challenge at the beginning of the implementation. And for the to cover all the reconstruction, we need to develop the different kind of implementation modalities. We need to develop the need identification and the investment plan and priority investment plan. For that, we need to do the damage assessment. For that, we need different kind of resources, financial resources, manpower resources, and material as well for the reconstruction. That's why it was a big challenge to to handle all the within the targeted 5-year period. So so many manpower we need for reconstruction. That was a bigger challenge as well. And everywhere they demanded a lot of the work for to be constructed and to be implemented. So we have a bigger challenge for the equitable distribution of our resources as well. So we need to develop some on-door policy and the priority-wise policy as well. So that was a bigger challenge for that as well. As we know that our schools are scattered in the different geographical regions, so geographical areas. They are not in the accessible areas. So we need to have such kind of challenges for the reconstruction as well. And first time we are handling the big scale of disaster. So that's also the big challenge, and we didn't know how to handle for that. So, and technically as well, we need to existing school building mostly damaged. So we need to rethink on the design aspect as well, and some rethink about the retrofitting of the partially damaged or minor damaged building as well, diagnosis of the health condition of the building as well. So these are the capacity of the technical person, technical capacity we need to increase. That was a big challenge for as well, and the quality assurance during the reconstruction. These are some challenges we face during the implementation. However, we developed the different strategies and modalities. And yes, of course, the PDRF is the major one, is the given us the major, the investment plan for the recovery process. And thanks to the World Bank, and supported very well for the structural integrity and damage assessment, from which we assess all the damaged schools, and then we develop some recovery plan, investment plan, and also the priority investment plan as well. Priority, based on our budget and the manpower, human resources, we develop some priority plan for the implementation. Yes, the NRA was set up, and different level of central level and the local level institution were set up after that. And we developed the mechanisms to engage the multi-stakeholder engagement mechanisms. We develop sometime bonded policy we develop, and establishment of the policy on guidelines. For example, in the case of the school reconstruction, we review the existing code and guidelines. We develop the architecture and the structure design guidelines. We did some research and development to support for the remote school as well, and more specifically to cover the around 50,000 classrooms to construct within the 5 years. Through the contractor, it was really possible. So main contractor, really possible. So that's why we developed the SMC modality. SMC, we engage the SMC for the reconstruction, and participation of the SMC, we developed some modality to strengthen to capacity building of the SMC as well. We developed the different modular design so that we can cover, we can implement and replicate in the different areas for the reconstruction as well. Of course, and we, yes, that's all the Build Back Better principle after this Sendai framework action. And holistic planning and implementation was a major one. We thought and developed, once we go in some schools, we try to give all the facilities. For example, the reconstruction, retrofitting, and disaster risk management issues as well we address, we try to address in one time. So that makes and also we train to the SMC, we did the MOU with the school management committee and local government so that the sustainability issue will be solved in future. That means the creative facility, how to operate those creative facilities. Those are the bigger challenges still we have. So we are trying, it's a continuous process. However, we're trying to empower to them how to use the creative facilities and how to maintain the creative facility in future as well. So these are some areas that we focus and develop some strategy as well. And we try to use the national and the local capacities. Nepal is unique, character. If we take some expertise from outsider as well, this is a different kind of, the modality that we need to develop here as well. That's why we develop the system so that we can use the local contractor, local engineers, and the masons and materials as much as possible. So these are some of the areas that we work on that, and the training and refresher training to the different, engineers, masons we did. And the engagement of the local community, local school management committee is a major important aspect that we conducted. And we developed some monitoring mechanisms from central and the district level as well. These are some lessons, what we learned. These are some of the lessons that I really wanted to highlight here. We learn a lot, but these are some. Clear responsibility and authority from the central level to district level or ground level is very, very important. We need to assign the responsibilities from central to the local level. It's very important so that the decision making could be very quick and the implementation will be very in the right direction. And in the first time we have developed a very big plan and program. So scale of planning is very big, and then now with the limited resources we can handle for that. That is a big lesson that we learn. And the resource management, the financial and human resource management is a bigger issue, and we manage and we did and we completed as well. And the transparency accountability is a major aspect as well. And we need to focus what are the requirements of the local and what are their interests, and then making the plan from the bottom and then address from the central level. This is the two-way of communication we developed. So it enhanced the transparency and the accountability from the central to the community level as well. We developed the communication mechanisms, coordination mechanism among the different stakeholders, different development partners, government, and the different in the NGOs, INGOs as well. We developed the monitoring and the quality assurance plan, and we developed a web-based platform for the monitoring of the quality monitoring from the grassroots level, from the local level, and so that the central level can monitor for the for such kind of implementation, such kind of progress from central level as well. And for example, for the case of the universities, we try to do, but we are not succeed. We are not we are late, because if we develop such kind of special the entity, the could have been better at this time. Progress could have been better. There are some lessons in operational. Yes, core and ethics were instrumental for effective management and need-based infrastructure through the involvement of local expert and manpower. Responsible school management committee and local government for the sustainable of the infrastructure is a very important, and application of the web-based platform for effectiveness of the construction supervision. And capacity development to the engineers and masons is a continuous process that enhance the quality and the sustainability of the creative facility as well. Disaster sensitive design and the program enhance the local knowledge on disaster risk reduction and management as well. And quality of education enhance the child environment gender friendly school. So when we reconstruct in one school, and we are trying to develop the conducive environment, but the quality education is the one component of creating the environment in the schools. These are the conclusions. Political consequences is very important, and strong leadership as we have. That's why we achieved such kind of the progress till now. The harmonized policy of the government is very important, and the coordination among the stakeholders is also the very important. That can play the important role for the progress of the project. Recovery and the priority investment plan through the assessment is very important, and the holistic approach of planning and implementation to enhance the resiliency and sustainability. Conducive teaching learning environment helps increase the student enrollment and enhance the quality of education. And that's the next step from the government that we really wanted to focus here to increase our to make some program for the enhancement of the quality education as well. Resilient, affordable, and replicable design helps for the fast recovery. Capacity building program for technical persons, masons, and contractor helps increase the quality and fast recovery process as well. Creating a resilient society through the school recovery process. For example, in the case of the schools, when we go there for the reconstruction, we try to support in the reconstruction, retrofitting, and DRM program. That helps to make the disaster resilient society. From the schools to the community, we can transfer the knowledge of DRR from school to the community. So that is very important. That what we learn from this recovery process. These are some key messages. Assessment, blunt assessment based on the investment plan was effective approach. Yes, introducing the standard design and guidelines to enhance these build back better principles. And the local technology and material must be promoted by innovative research and development, what we have done, and we developed some remote school design as well and construction as well. And quality enhancement through the capacity building and reporting mechanism. For example, the PMIS we developed that have been implementing, and ability of land in the number of locations was a great hurdle for us. Actually, in the urban areas, because of land, the government do not provide the land to the community for the construction of the school. A community, they need to manage. So that is some issue that we need to think for the, particularly in the urban areas. And the prototype design that helps for the construction of the many schools, but some location we need to go with the site-specific design as well. So that is also we need to taken care. And the community participation, local participation help in ownership building and hence sustainability of the created facilities. These are some messages that I want to share with you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Yuvraj. Now, I'd like to request Raju Neupani He is Deputy Director at Building CLPIU. Rajuji? Oh, yes. Sorry, I didn't notice.
Thank you, sir.
Please make your presentation.
Respected CEO, sir, respected Secretary, sir, respected member of Executive Committee, NRA, Chair of Session, commentators, and participants of this session. Namaste and good afternoon. This is Raju Neopane from CLPIO Building. I'm Deputy Project Director, and in this presentation, I will be sharing our experience and our achievement in the government building reconstruction sector. And if you look at the scenario at the 2015, at 2015 from the earthquake, it was found that 415 government buildings were affected, and among 415, the completely damaged buildings were 162 and partial damaged building were 253. And apart from the damage to the buildings, what was the existing scenario in 2015 was that the NBC 105, which is the seismic design code for the design of seismic design of building in Nepal, was not updated for the 21 years. And our structure designers have been using Indian codes for design of the buildings. And if we look at now, what we have achieved is we have revised the NBC 105, and it has been endorsed by the cabinet, and it has been published in the Nepal Gazette, so that it is applicable all over the Nepal. This is a huge achievement. And looking at the number of the reconstructed building, 87% of the damaged building have been reconstructed, maintained. That is 361 building have been reconstructed, out of which 244 were maintained and 116 were reconstructed. Apart from that, we also constructed 288 transitional buildings that ensured that during the reconstruction phase, service delivery was ensured from those government offices. And likewise, 50 community shelters were also constructed, which could be used as emergency shelters or multi-purpose functions. And some of our newly formed rural municipalities and municipalities offices have been running on those community shelters constructed by us. Talking about challenges and issues, one of the first and foremost challenge what we encountered was that we were in the stage of the state restructuring, and some of the federal offices were not we were in the transition phase, so we exactly didn't know how many federal offices will remain and how many will go to the province. So that was confusing at that time at the start of the project. Likewise, our project were managed by the district level implementation units, and those project managers of DLPIs, there was a quite high turnover of the project managers. There were not enough project managers. One project manager was looking after like four DLPIs at sometimes. So it was a challenge. And another major challenge was the financial constraint, and what we were thinking of the reconstruction fund, that was not realized, and we were like some of the buildings are not started till date because we haven't get assurance from the Ministry of Finance. So there was a lot of time taken for the program amendments as well as the getting approval of the master procurement plan. And last but not the least, one of the challenge now we are facing is the exit strategy. Like the reconstruction of health sector has just taken place. We are in the initiation phase, so we are not clear about whom we will be going to hand over the case. Will it be the Ministry of Health? Will it be the DUDBC, or will it be the local levels? So that was the some challenges that were institutional and organizational. And talking about operational challenges, one of the most challenge was we were entering into the unknown territory of retrofitting hooks. We didn't have prior experience of retrofitting of the large projects, so it was quite a challenge to start the retrofitting hook, and it took a lot of time, almost 2 years to finalize the retrofit designs. That was a challenge. Similarly, there was also confusion about the how do we approach. Like for example, if you take a case of the West Launch, should we retrofit or should we reconstruct? There was a confusion, and to arrive at the conclusion that we will retrofit it, it took some time. And other some common challenges were the contract management, was not, it was very difficult to have effective contract management. And similarly, we didn't have the experience and the mechanism of how to supervise the turnkey projects. And likewise, in other all projects, that there was a lack of availability of the skilled labors and unskilled labors. Talking about the strategies adopted by us, yes, our strategy were guided by our recovery framework. And what was our prime strategy was that we will not be only reconstructing or rebuilding the affected building. We will be also investing in resilience. We will be developing, we will be updating our codes that will ensure that new construction that will be taken by us will be resilient. And in terms of on the reconstruction of the damaged building, what we adopted, what was our strategy was that during the reconstruction phase, the continuity of the service from the government office should be there. We should we should help to provide service from those office during the reconstruction phase. Then there was we were prioritizing our works. First priority was to quickly maintain the damaged building. That was possible. Then we went to the reconstruction field. And in the design of the buildings that to be reconstructed, we adopted the principle that this should be accessible, this should be functional, and this should be aesthetics. This should look beautiful from the outside and functional from the inside. And in some cases where there was a possibility where the land ownership and land provision allowed and the function of the governments allow, we integrated the government offices into one building. We built two such integrated buildings, one in Sinduli and other in Rashua. And consultation with expert and stakeholders was really a good strategy that we adopted, and due to this we were able to achieve success in to implement retrofit design as well as in the code revision. And in case of the buildings that are of central building that are located in strategic location, there was what we decided that this should contribute to the urban landscape. This should be visually good. This should be we focus on the aesthetics of those buildings. Talking about the lesson learned, one of the key lessons that we learned from the organizational and institutional point of view was that adaptation of the sector modality was very appropriate, and we achieved success in the reconstruction public building because CLPI building was a dedicated institution that was interested with that work. If you look at the health sector, it was there was a project implementation unit in health sector who were not expert in the construction work. So that could not the health progress could not be good, and it was later transferred to CLPI building. And another key lesson is the consultation and with expert and stakeholders reaped dividends, because if you look at the retrofit design, it was very challenging aspect. And what we did was we consulted with the experts from DOA, from the academia field, from the structure experts, and that helped us to arrive in the conclusion. And architecture expression of central building like the office of the Attorney General or the Public Service Commission building were given importance. And if you look at the result, what we learned was architecture expression of those central buildings should given importance. And use of ICT and project management information system helped in the management of the monitoring of the projects. That was use of ICT was also one of the lessons learned. And talking about the operational point of view, packaging of contract was crucial from management point of view, and we found it very helpful to package to manage less number of contracts because contracts were packaged. And contract enforcement is still a challenge to be tackled because it is really difficult to get like updated and approved work schedule from the contractors and required manpower and equipments in the site. And I think our implementing agency, we as an implementing agency lack our capacity in the mechanical, electrical and plumbing works, and our capacity need to be enhanced in MEP field. And most of our projects, big project had supervision consultant, and provision of design and supervision consultant could be crucial in emergency projects. And last but not the least, one of the key lesson is that for the DLP period, we have not been giving much importance. So we should provide some kind of monitoring mechanism to be for the DLP period. Maybe consulting work could be an option on that. Talking about the conclusion, one of our key conclusion is that we should not only reconstruct buildings, but we should also invest in the preparation of the resilience. We should invest in revision of the codes, and we should focus on its implementation also. Another conclusion is that during the reconstruction, if you ensure that the service is continued from the government offices, it leads to the trust between the citizen and the state. And dedicated institution to oversee and implement contract are vital, which we can see from our experience from the health sector and building sector. And integration of buildings where possible is we should be adopted, and we should try to integrate where possible. And in the design of the buildings, build back better in terms of service delivery, improve should be targeted. And if you create better work places, that can translate to greater staff satisfaction and productivity. And where possible, architectural presence of the reconstructed projects should be there, because there is reconstruction always provides an opportunity to construct something that is aesthetics that can contribute to the urban landscape. From our experience, the key message is that yes, we should build back better. That's our general principle, but build back better in terms of safety from both man-made and natural hazards, build back better in terms of functions, build back better in terms of aesthetics, and in terms of accessibility. The revision of the building code should be like we should have a proper mechanism that ensures that there is a timely revision of the building code, and we should also see how can we have an effective implementation of the building code. Service continuity should be ensured during the reconstruction phase. Dedicated implementing agency should be entrusted with the reconstruction works. And we should also, like, restoration and retrofit of the historical public building to their original character should also be a priority when we are reconstructing our government building sector. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Rajuji, for a very nice presentation. Now we have listened about the social infrastructure from 4 presenters. And I think it covers summary of all our public infrastructure activities. Now it's time to move to commentator. First of all, I would like to introduce our commenters. First of all, Lu In from Shanghai Construction Group. He belongs to business department, overseas business department of the Shanghai Construction Group. Mr. Lu In, are you with us?
Yes.
Yeah, you are welcome. Now,
Thank you.
authorized Mr. Please wait. Mr. Krishna Lamsal, he is from JICA. Mr. Krishna, are you with us? Krishna Lamsal.
Yes, sir. Yes, namaste. I'm here, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are welcome. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah, then we have Aman Khan from USAID. Dr. Aman Khan, are you there?
Yes. Yes,
Yes, you are welcome. Welcome again. Yeah, I think he's supported by Dr. Arjun Koirala. Arjun Koirala, are you there?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm
You are
here.
also welcome. Now, other commenter is Mr. Purna Prasad Kaderia. Purna sir, are you with us?
Namaste, good afternoon.
Namaste, you are welcome. Now we have basically 5 commenter. In the beginning, I would like to request Mr. Liu Yin, please make your view on these 4 presentations. Is time is yours. Please, Liu Yin.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank Mr. Chair. Thank this nice presentation, and thank NRA for conducting this fascinating seminar. So I just listened to all these presentations. So they are very great ones. So I mean, the scientific group, we have learned a lot from that. So I would like to say that it's a pleasure for us to join this seminar to disseminate our achievements and experience in accomplishing the China-aided Kathmandu Ring Road Improvement Project in Nepal and the China-aided Kathmandu Daba Middle School project in Nepal, as well as the suggestions on promoting the following second phase of Ring Road. Please kindly note that the first phase of Ring Road project was officially started on September 6, 2013, with a total construction period of 14 months. After overcoming many difficulties like the 8.1 magnitude earthquake, Nepal-India border closure, strike, and the slow obstruction resettlement progress, the project was successfully completed on December 15, 2018. And the project handover ceremony was victoriously held on January 28, 2019. So the main achievements and experience for us during project construction will be shown as follows. So during the project construction, the project team recruited a large number of local laborers, which helped Nepal to solve the employment opportunities of about 5,000 months. The types of laborers include road and bridge construction laborers, and equipment drivers and operators. While recruiting local laborers, we have also strengthened and trained a lot of local workers with professional construction technology through the guidance by Chinese technical workers, laying a solid foundation for their future employment. The successful completion and handover of the project has contributed to the infrastructure construction, post-disaster reconstruction, and improvement of people's livelihood as well as daily traveling, and has become a witness and the recorder of China-Nepal friendship. To establish a good communication channel with the surrounding residents along the Ring Road is important. The project construction will inevitably affect the daily life of the residents around the Ring Road. Therefore, the project team conducted a weekly project communication meeting with the Nepali party to actively explain and communicate with the people along the road and get corresponding feedback. Hence, the residents around the road understand the effects of our construction and recognize our project work. The suggestions for promoting the second phase of Ring Road are shown as follows. So it's suggested that the road design should not exceed the right of way. Due to the land privatization in Nepal, the government's land acquisition cost is high and time-consuming, which makes it extremely difficult to fulfill the responsibility of land acquisition for construction. Therefore, it's suggested that the Ring Road design should not exceed the right of way. During the preliminary planning and the project construction, it's suggested that the Nepali party should provide a one-stop project coordination service for national key projects. And it's suggested that the Nepali party should appoint high-level government officials as the general coordinator of the project to play a leading role in multi-department coordination to assist the Chinese team to solve various problems during project development, which can effectively promote the project progress, shorten the project duration, and avoid the Chinese team to be busy with conducting different departments but unable to solve problems, and then project can be delayed. It is suggested that the Nepali party should manage the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Police Department, Traffic Police Department, local municipal government, district government, and other departments to provide more resources to national key projects in their daily work, so as to help national key projects to solve encountered problems like robbery, theft, work time, transportation time, tree cutting, demolition, resettlement, multi-project cooperative construction, sand and aggregate production, soil taking, soil dumping, etc. In the early stage of the project, the Chinese team needs the Nepali party to cooperate to complete a lot of documentation work, like the approval of the duty-free list of materials and equipment, the proceeding of greatest visa, the account opening of bank accounts and tax accounts, etc. In order to facilitate the Chinese team to carry out the construction work more rapidly, it is suggested that the Nepal party should specify a complete set of standard procedures of the above-mentioned work with detailed consuming time, so that the Chinese team and other projects can better promote the documentation work and promote progress. During the project construction, it's suggested that the Nepali party should send a security or police force to the work site and campsite, or strengthen the patrol police force in this area, so as to ensure the project safety and better response to and solve the emergencies occurred in the project as well as surrounding areas. It's suggested that the Nepali party should allow the imported material and equipment to be transported to the work site first, and then go through customs clearance procedures, so that the project construction will not be delayed due to the influence of container detention, road closure, and the strike in India. So the above mentioned is my summary of the achievements and experience of the China-aided Kathmandu Ring Road Improvement Project in Nepal, as well as the Kathmandu Dabar Middle School project. Also, as well as the suggestions on promoting the second phase of the ring road. So if there is any mistake, please help to correct it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lu Yin, for a very nice presentation about the construction of Ring Road and Darbara High School and other related issues. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request Mr. Krishna Lamsal. Krishna Lamsal, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Please make your presentation. You have a 10-minute time.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. And then distinguished guests and panelists and presenters and all participants. I'm pleased to be here today and then make a quick reflection. I must say quick, some supplementation and quick reflection on the presentations made by the presenters, 4 presentations we had earlier. But I would be much focusing on school reconstruction and some public building. And my observation or my feedback would be more, some of the feedbacks would be more generic actually, which could be applicable to all presentations, because I'm going to touch on public buildings and social infrastructure. So first of all, thank you very much for NRA for providing us that compendium on time, and also this PowerPoint presentations. So I went through that, and then it was very comprehensive. And then all presenters also made very comprehensive presentations. So congratulations, and yes, thank you very much for the comprehensive presentations. Having said that, I just would like to make a brief, observation. This overall compilation of that compendium, actually that is a kind of good document for which would be instrumental for institutional memory. And although it's a kind of living document, it will be changed time to time and based on the progress. And I have a small observation. While reflecting the progress tables, actually, it would always be good to mention the date, when, as of when, so that will be some kind of very helpful. That's my observation. And other things, the BBB concept, integrated approach, application of building codes or something, and environmental and safeguard things are very much highlighted, in different chapters as a kind of essential aspects of implementation strategy for the sector and different sectors. So that part was very good in that document. So whole presentations are guided, I mean, based on those, I mean, compiled documents. That's the good news, you know. So some kind of guiding document is are followed for this kind of presentation also. So that part was very good because it's organized and we could see very much coherent, you know. Show whole presentations seems to be coherent because that whole compiled document is followed. That's my general observation. Thank you very much for this. And then just moving on a little bit on that, actually, this kind of forum, let me just make general, I mean, observation. This forum, knowledge sharing, I mean, whatever knowledge generated through the experiences, I think always good, you know, good asset for future reference and future, I mean, even in different contexts. And then this kind of forum always provide an opportunity to share best practices, innovations, knowledge, and then discuss those things and also develop a kind of common understanding. So this has been really instrumental. So thank you very much for this, you know, initiatives, NRA, and then whole team, entire team who involved for this process. Let me just briefly supplement the presentations based on our experiences, JICA experiences in supporting for reconstruction and recovery from Nepal earthquake, focusing on various aspects, I mean, especially building and social infrastructures. So as a presenter, like most of the presenters actually mentioned that we had difficult time at the beginning because we had that mega earthquake, very devastating earthquake, and then we needed to start from the zero. Definitely, we all agree on that. I mean, that was the challenge. And then also we didn't have data. I mean, damage situation. If I cite the example, I mean, I look after particularly health and education sector in JICA. So right now, and then at that time also in everywhere in all agencies actually, we actually were confused where to start. You know, what's the real need? Then definitely that was the situation. And then infrastructure. I mean, and also damage of schools and and then for design with focusing on the BBB principles. We were really lagging behind, and we didn't have that kind of situation. And I think Dr. Paudel and Mr. Ariel and then Mr. Nupan, all I think touched on that combined effort or kind of capacity gap, and also institutional landscape was not, clear at the beginning. I think they already talk about that. I think we all agree on that. So I also have same observation. But based on our experiences, what I would like to reiterate here is combined, kind of efforts, or even in designing the projects, the combined hardware and software part was very much, effective. That's my observation, especially in reconstruction. For example, in building and infrastructures, hardware part is there, and software, for example, capacity building for livelihood or local residents, and project implementation for executing agencies or local consultant or local contractors. And also it's very much emphasized in the presentation, almost all presentations, that combination of national and international technical expertise. That part also very interesting, very, very important aspect. We have to take a note. And I think I also take a note here. Actually, that part is very important. That would be very effective. Technical support for design, and then provision of supervision or construction and contract management. For example, in our JICA construction, for example, JICA supported construction, especially school construction, for example, the contract management is being done by the consultant, Japanese consultant. So CLPI is closely monitoring the consultants' work, and even some of the consultants' performance is linked with the contractor's performance. Contractor's performance is linked with the contractor's performance. So that is being helpful. That's our observation. So I think in different occasions when we discuss with the CLPI colleagues, and then we review the project progress, and we also found that kind of impression there. So combination of both, right? National and international technical expertise, if they will have opportunity to work together, that would be effective. That is our expectation. That is our experiences. And even some of the interventions, for example, quick survey. Let me just cite our example, JICA experiences. Quick survey of the damaged school through technical cooperation actually was very helpful. That paved the way for immediate rehabilitation of some of the school, damaged schools rehabilitation, and also that actually created a foundation for planning this bigger, infrastructure or reconstruction project. So that quick survey also was helpful through the technical cooperation, quick, interventions. That was helpful. And then the combination of different components, like we already discussed during this presentation, when presenters already highlighted, different components are covered, like public building infrastructure, public building and health and school, security and road, bridge and water supply, all kind of infrastructure. This combined type of things very, brought kind of positive impact actually in resuming the service delivery. And talking about the JICA experiences actually in school construction, let me just cite very specific experiences that learning by doing, especially effective procurement of local contractors. We realize that leads to, efficient contract management. In batch 1, we actually, that ESRP project, for example, Emergency School Reconstruction Project, was divided into 3 batches. And then first batch implementation was, so-so. Actually, we learned many lessons. And then that was discussed. And then we actually discussed with the counterpart and the CLPIU and JICA and NRA, we discussed and then came up with some modification, even in improving the selection criteria. For example, in second batch and third batch went very well. So that was a great lessons learned, because at the beginning we all were new, even new experience working with local contractors, so national contractors. So we learned some lessons and then we had some small interventions, but that was very much helpful. And then also talking about this different integrated type of interventions. For example, JICA actually supported for that quick impact projects focusing to 2 heavily affected districts, Gorkha and Sindhupalchok. 27 different QIFs project, we called QIFs project, that covered, number of bridges, 3 bridges on hospital in Gorkha, police post, health post, and VDC buildings, and women agriculture offices, and Chautara water supply project. I think that also, was very effective in actually resuming the services immediately, because small infrastructure, that kind of quick impact project also is being very helpful to resume the services, to provide the service on time. And then I think strategic and approaches part, I think in terms of principles of the school, reconstruction, I think holistic approach of planning and implementation was adopted, and all kind of facilities were covered. And then also not only hardware and then software also, that gender and disability friendly school facilities were considered. That means that resilience has been realized through, how can I say, through reconstruction, not only physical aspect, but also social, economic, and then, yes, institutional aspects based on BBB concept. And I think in talking about the key concept, I think all presentations, in all presentations, they have nicely presented. They brought many very interesting key messages. But I would just like to reiterate a couple of things. That maybe facilitation and support to local level to ensure proper utilization and maintenance of facilities could be very crucial. So that could be one of the key messages for all of us. And then and another one could be the because I'm working in the whole sector, right? Education, health sector. If I recall the discussions in the sector, and if, recently we had a kind of review of education sector program. And then even in that discussions, if I recall, correctly, that harmonization, because in the regular program also, there is a construction component. And then we used to ask, because personally, I'm involving in this reconstruction. I'm very much, working closely with the whole entire team. And then we are talking about the resilience, BBB concept, everything. And we are following that. And then I used to discuss in that way. But sometimes I found some kind of confusion, and then a kind of dissemination of message and then best practices, whatever innovations we are talking about here, really need to disseminate wider scale. I mean, sector-wide, level, and then a kind of coherent or a kind of how can I say? Joint efforts or a kind of alignment is necessary for that whole sector program. So, and then thank you for the reminder time. Yes, thank you very much. And then another key message could be the this raising school safety awareness reinforcement policy guidelines should be hand to hand actually, and with the school construction reconstruction, and additional right now because of this COVID context, additional precaution of health and safety due to pandemic is very important, and some flexibility would also be crucial. And then implementation of reconstruction activities needed, I already talked about. So having said that, I would like to thank on behalf of our JICA Chief Representative and my own behalf, I would like to thank NRA team for this opportunity and then for this excellent innovation of knowledge sharing and discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna. We also would like to thank JICA and you for making very good comment and sharing your experiences. Now, I would like to request Dr. Aman Khan. Dr. Aman Khan, are you there?
Yes.
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 Yeah, please, floor is yours. I would like to request you make your comments on 4 presentations, and of course, you may have your independent ideas also. Please, time is yours.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I would like to also send my thanks to NRA executive members as well as the chief executive of NRA. This is my second session that I am attending. I attended also the housing section, house reconstruction section. So there are also some messages that my colleague from JICA has also covered that I think I would not repeat, but I do fully agree with some of the comments that were made. I want to first highlight in my comment that the issue of resilient structures were brought in almost all the presentation across the board. And on that note, I just wanted to bring out the issue that we are addressing as part of earthquake infrastructure reconstruction, addressing, say, about 7,000 schools and maybe 1,197 health facilities. But that is only a fraction of what Nepal has. I mean, as I understand, Nepal has more than 34,000 schools and more than 4,000 health facilities. So the vulnerability of infrastructure still persists in a very large sense for all throughout Nepal. So in order to kind of extend these learnings, we need to also think about in a more broader way of looking into how we can reduce those vulnerabilities beyond the earthquake districts, and this would be the time. And what I appreciated the most from each of the 4 presentation is it was comprehensive, it was honest, it was transparent, and it also narrowed down to the challenges, key messages, and in some cases, some solutions to it. These are very useful to look beyond what else can be done to sustain to make all the efforts sustainable for the future. My comments also will come from our experience of working in the areas, of course, in coordination with NRA, that what we were doing for school and health facilities. And we definitely look through all of these facility construction as access to service, because each of these facilities are providing a very critical service to Nepali communities. And those services got to be inclusive. And while we are building these structures, needs to be environmentally compliant, and there needs to be sustainable. And of course, the highest level, the reason we were doing it, there needs to be resilient. So what I wanted to highlight is that these qualities needs to be also looked into. And one of the aspect that I haven't heard much is on environmental compliance. So if that could be also part of the discussion as you move forward and look into the future. Now, on the specific sides, I would like to also bring about the issues of COVID conditions. And I know that these pandemic conditions will continue possibly for the foreseeable future, and it is impacting adversely some of the opportunities that existed prior to COVID, and also impeding our ability to deliver. So how are we dealing with those aspects in infrastructure would be something to also discuss as a lesson learned. I mean, how did we transform our work procedure, work process to address that? In many of these presentations, we did highlight that contractors' capacity, limited contractors' capacity. I think it is only not capacity, it is also accountability is also an issue that would improve the quality of construction. I also noted that we talked about many issues. However, safety of workers during the construction implementation is also needs to be focused. I'll give you an example that we had. We have a local company called Himalayan Builders, a construction company. In 2020, they received the National Safety Council Award, which is basically an Industry Leadership Award 2020, which is for health and safety. And the reason I wanted to bring that example is the local companies, if they are encouraged, can achieve these quality levels and maintain that. So I think it is not unreachable. So I think all private entities who are working in construction should be encouraged to do so. With regard to private sector engagement, I highlighted the issue in the housing sector. I would like to highlight that the same here in the construction as well. Here we met with many industry leaders and identified few gaps. And then we tried to invest in 3 private sector entities. One is basically to connecting people, connecting suppliers of construction material with construction material buyers, which basically creates a platform to be able to do that. And the platform name is Ghar Banao. You would be able to also see that in mobile devices if you prefer. And that has been fairly successful and expanded to many, many districts. And other one we looked at is the maintenance. My JICA colleague also highlighted maintenance issues, and that was the reason why we actually focused on it. It is called Fix It. They also connect with the supplier or services to buyer of services. And again, another platform. And the third example I wanted to bring up here is also the testing of quality material, testing of construction materials. We supported a private lab to do the construction material testing within Kathmandu as well as outside Kathmandu to provide expanded access to those. And I would be very happy to say this local private entity was certified by, was ISO 9001 certified into 2020 as well. So I think if we think differently, I think we will be able to achieve a lot. And with that, what I would like to do is I'd like to ask my colleague, Arjun Koirala, to comment on more of the technical aspects of the program and the presentation. So over to Mr. Koirala.
Thank you, Dr. Aman Khan. Now I would like to request Dr. Koirala to make your comment. Dr. Arjun.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Respected CEO, Mr. Susil Gewali, respected chair of the session, Dr. Hari Parajuli, um, NRA executives, distinguished experts, and participants. Thank you very much for this opportunity given to us, to look into these details and the huge task that NRA has done over this reconstruction period, but not limiting on that, the huge responsibility NRA has taken to put all these efforts together for all to take consideration in future endeavors. So thank you very much, and I highly appreciate that. Let me quickly put the presentation contents and my corresponding my thoughts in a couple of aspects. So let me put that first in technical aspects. So one of the very important highlights, the presenters, all of them made was on the standards, the codes and all that. So what was highlighted was like the standards and codes were reviewed and these were improved. And so now we do have availability of the procedures that how you can improve your designs, and how even the codes can be reviewed in coming days. So but looking into the documentation and implementation part, how we can expand this, we still need to sort of discuss on this and put into kind of a procedure. When talking about the resilience, maybe because it was for us the first opportunity, to drive from the earthquake aspect. But while selecting sites not only for reconstruction but for the normal constructions, can we further look into multi-hazard context? I think this is what we can take out from these presentations. Contract management was very rightly pointed out. But which in fact has significantly impacted the period of performance. So, but the period of performance may not have been impacted that way only because of the lack of competence on the part of the major actors, for example, on the part of client, on the consultants, and also on the contractor. But there are several reasons which might have played and extended the period of performance. I think a little bit highlighting on that and digging into that would have been much sharing of the information and putting into knowledge. During this huge task of reconstructions, it has generated a huge number of technical resources. But how we retain and engage these huge resources, this still is a question. As Muhammad highlighted, the environmental friendly aspects, a lot of design considerations, like how these structures could have been more energy efficient, basically the social infrastructures, and even in the public infrastructures, what could have been the alternative materials. These are some of the areas that we can get a sense from the presentations that there are a couple of spaces that we can technically look into. Looking into capacity building part, yes, obviously the capacities and the gaps of different institutions at various levels, central level, provincial level, and local levels were discussed. And this not only gets a limit to these institutions, but what is this at professionals level, at the professional societies level, and every sphere of the practices. Not only that, but looking into the capacity of beneficiaries. We're talking about the operation and maintenance, and then further, designing and then constructing community infrastructure by the communities themselves. So, capacity building on this part is pretty much highlighted in this presentations. But can we put all this in terms of lessons learned? I think this is one of the areas where we can work more. Mohammed also highlighted on the health and safety practice, but this the presentations have also given us insight in strengthening. There's a need to strengthen and also build proactive health and safety practice. So but at the same time, delivery of services, basically from the public infrastructure is very crucial. So it's not only the hardware, but as the hardware progresses, there are also ways and means, to strengthen the software part. For example, we can look into the in case of education and health facilities, like education quality improvement plans, or health services quality improvement plans. Of course, these institutions are preparing their own strategic improvement plan, but more focus on the delivery of service would be helpful and beneficial. The social aspect also comes very importantly, like an engagement of the communities. Presenters have rightly identified that one of the major stakeholders are the communities for which or where these facilities are being built. But the engaging community from the very beginning of conceptualization and designing and implementation, and taking that further to sustainable operation and maintenance, that becomes quite crucial. When talking about the communities, did we take consideration of gender, gender equality and social inclusion, how this disadvantaged communities or the disabled and the excluded populations were engaged in the process, and are they equally getting the benefits, and who is ensuring this, and how is this done? I think a record of all this could be a very sort of guiding documents for other works or other programs. Looking into just wanted to take examples of the management committee at the school facilities and also the health facilities. They are there, but in many of the cases, even during the reconstruction phase, we've seen that the tenure was over, and there was no clarity taking lead and also supporting the construction activities, rather reconstruction activities. So the capacity, the tenure, and then the continuation of these leaderships at local level, that becomes very important. One of the very important aspects that was also highlighted was the financial aspects. There always comes a question, the standard or quality versus cost. And then we tend to look back into our investment requirements, the availability, and at the same time investment capacity. Whether we can invest that huge amount of money in a particular time period, and if there are gaps, how these gaps were bridged and how these gaps can be bridged in future. This is one of the areas where we can take much from these presentations. When I was talking about the community engagement and putting them on the lead from the selection, designing, implementation, and also is sustainable operations. Maybe one of the ways could be from the very beginning, working with them to have operation and maintenance fund. So how we generate or how we provision this kind of funds in future projects could also be one of the areas to look into. Let's go into the lessons learned part. All the technical, social, environmental, all aspects could have been very precisely put in terms of our design lessons. So documentations of these lessons and utilization in the future through proper dissemination at different levels. I think this is one of the areas where participants have highlighted, but has also given us ample space as we
Arjunji,
move in
could you
different
summarize
projects
your
and programs.
Arjunji? Arjunji?
Yes, sir. I'm coming to end.
Could you,
Yeah,
okay.
just give me 1 minute. I'm
Sorry, because we are running out
yeah.
of time.
So very right to say. Yeah, thank you, sir. So institutionalization of all these efforts and integration of these efforts. Taking reference of post-disaster recovery framework. I think this is one of the areas where we may want to look back and find these details. So achievement. Obviously, access to basic infrastructure have been improved and increased. Similarly to the basic services has also been improved and achieved. So congratulations, NRA. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Arjun. Thank you very much for your very good comment. Now we have last commenter. I request Mr. Purna Prasad Kaderia. Kaderia, sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You are welcome. Please
Thank you.
make your comment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to actually, thank NRA CEO Saab, Mr. Sushil Gyawali, all executive members and the senior management of NRA. Thank you very much for your invitation, for participating, in this webinar from my side. And I'd like to also thank all paper presenters, the presenters who have made excellent contribution in this webinar. In short, most of the ideas and thoughts that has been already generated from different paper presenters and comments from various commentators are well taken. I most of them I agree on that. And on top of that, I have certain notice. I've made certain remarks and notice in these presentations, which I like to summarize as follows. Like the earthquake in 1988, the earthquake that is 1988. The NRA after earthquake 2015, the NRA actually also started its work from almost nothing, from vacuum, except Building Code of Nepal and Building Code implementation guidelines. All other actions were started and accomplished by NRA in this time period. Actually, I like to congratulate NRA officials for achieving such a huge accomplishments in these 5 years' time. As far as the reconstruction initiatives are concerned, my observation is that would have done much better than this, but because of the political transition, as one of the paper presenters said, that the government buildings in various districts, there were district offices, and now there are no more districts, and then there is a gap. And what kind of service delivery these buildings are going to provide to the nation is still not known. Similarly, there are confusion, sector-wise confusion, especially with the Ministry of Health, because the CIPI Ministry of Health is still. Do you hear me?
Someone is calling.
Do you hear me, Dr. Prajit?
Yeah, we are hearing. Anyone who is having the cell phone, please switch off. Yeah. Anyone? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are ministries. There are ministries policies which are also disturbed, so to say. They have not given a clear way to work NRA in a much higher speed. So these sector policies are to be streamlined. These sector policies actually contributed negatively in our efforts in achieving our target in time. And in spite of all these also, there are a lot of successes that has been achieved. And I fully agree that the document has been completed, and I think the kind of the achievements that has been highlighted and the kind of suggestions that has been provided by the commentators, they are all good. But one thing for sure is that that until and unless a dedicated institution with special mandates are not created, reconstruction is not possible. Reconstruction is not possible. Reconstruction is possible with a dedicated institution with special mandates. And another very important area which I learned, and I don't know, I think NRA also should have learned, or my other colleagues also will agree on me, is that the experts were given the opportunity. The most beautiful part of the composition of NRA and then service delivery is the sector experts were given the opportunity. The real experts who know the thing, they are now in the driving seat, and these drivers could see the future, and they know the vision, they know the roadmap, and they know the destination, and they know what kind of car, what kind of vehicle they need. So that is the reason why in this short period of time, I think we made this remarkable progress. We have a very small executive committee, NRA executive committee, but I think it is a very, very strong and very, very mandated executive committee, which is a very nice composition in NRA's legal mandate. And of course, some confusion was existed in the initial stage, especially with the institutional aspect, how to mobilize the confidence and coordination and collaboration from sector ministries. That was a kind of confusion that was in the initial stage, but it was clearly later on, slowly and gradually, all those confusions were cleared. And we have not, I mean, the presenters didn't highlight one very special issue, is that the transparency that has been achieved in NRA is because NRA devoted more than a year time in formulating their guidelines, in formulating their papers, in formulating their standard operating procedures. Those standard operating procedures, those standard guidelines, those standard documents that were prepared, drafted, discussed, and then approved contributed a lot for minimizing the confusion during implementation and minimizing confusion among coordination, among various agencies in coordination and all that. And all efforts were, I believe that all efforts were geared towards delivering results. It was an agency that was created for delivering result, not for anything else. So that contributed such a huge achievement, I think, in this period of time. Of course, I mean, I listen. I do not fully agree that resilient building construction, resilient building alone cannot be resilient. If we want to create a resilient society, society can be resilient, community can be resilient, but a building can never be resilient, in my opinion. It has to do with the resiliency, with the stability of the soil. It has to go with the environment. It has to go with the adjoining other infrastructures, and it has to go hand to hand. But even if during disasters our structure exists, it cannot give function. It cannot deliver as it is to be delivered before. So if a building structure after any kind of disaster cannot provide the same as it used to be before, then it cannot be resilient. So in my opinion, if we want to make a structure, a facility resilient, it is not only the building that matters, it is the services that matters, it is the road that leads to that building structure that matters, it is the software. People call my fellow commentators also before that, it is the software part that also should not be disturbed. So all these things, hardware and software both, will combine will contribute for creating a resilient environment. And for that, creating a resilient environment, I think we need to work not only on the structures, but we need to work to so many other factors. And now, in spite of all these also, I have I saw certain lapses, I saw certain difficulties. I won't say it is a shortcoming, but what I see is there are things that is still to be done. There are things that are still to be done. That is we need to work more on coordination, collaboration. We need to work more on sector policies. We'll have to be more, mobilization of sectors, sector experts, and most importantly, what I would like to say is the contract management and procurement was the issue that was discussed this afternoon. But here I would like to say, I think we discussed the symptom, but we did not discuss the root cause. The problems that we see in the procurement, the problem we see in the contract management, these are just the symptoms. These are not the causes. What are the causes? We have not gone into the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is, we have not gone into specialization. Look into other countries, even in neighboring countries. A building contractor or building maintenance contractor cannot deliver the same quality work in a road construction. A road contractor cannot deliver the road maintenance. Similarly, irrigation and hydropower and so on and so on and so on. So I think we'll have to go for a root cause. Another one is, I think we'll have to go into the performance-based multi-year maintenance. A maintenance should not be a maintenance that has to be measured. A maintenance to be done on the basis of a performance. A building should perform like this. So we'll have to go that way, and then we'll have to make provisions of the engineers, provisions of the capacity building, provisions for gender equality and social inclusion, and provision for all kind of other services, I think, in the contract itself. So that when the contract is implemented, we can deliver training, we can deliver JC measures, we can deliver social mobilization, we can deliver so many other things. So it has to be built in within the contract, And I think if we do that, then I think the learning lessons will be much better. So let us try to discuss this matter with the sector ministries and try to resolve construction problems at once. Even the consultants are to be specialized. A sanitary consultant can never be an architect. Or architecture or a landscape architect should not practice a building architecture, in my opinion. Or building structural engineers should not practice road engineering or irrigation engineering. We need to go strictly into this kind of disciplines. And similarly, the contractors are to be given a contract accordingly, given the license accordingly. And also we'll have to start giving license to our mason. A mason who is skillful in building construction, not necessarily will be skillful in road construction, not necessarily in irrigation, not necessarily in other water supply and hydropower. So we should start thinking from the root cause. And then if we solve this root cause, then naturally the procurement and contract management becomes better. That is what my feeling is. And thank you for providing me this opportunity. Thank you, all my colleagues and friends, for sharing your ideas and for giving me this opportunity to learn and everything. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Purna sir. Thank you very much for very critical comment. And actually, that's what we wanted. Now, we have around 10-12 minutes left. It's time to respond the issues and questions raised by commenter. There are several issues such as environmental compliance, safety of workers, quality, level of quality, how did we ensure, and connection of supply and buying chain from between the various stakeholders, and maintenance issues, and transparency, and about the revision of building codes. These, of course, there are so many comments. Out of them, these are the main comments. In order to saving time, I would like to request Bharat sir to make your comments, maybe on behalf of other three deputy directors also. You can give the comment and answers. Please, Bharat sir.
Yeah, basically, even in the case of environment sector, we have guidelines, and then as defined by the guidelines, we had followed either EIA, environmental initial examination, or IE, both. So maintenance culture we have to develop in most of the cases. If we show previously, even there is problem of routine and as well as periodic maintenance needs there. So we have to incorporate this. We have to develop the maintenance culture for the public buildings and services. And in case of transparency, transparency also is there because you have to public audit is there, and then review is there, public review and public audit is also there. So we have incorporated this in our procedural guidelines. We have to follow this one also.
Other issues about the contractors and consultants quality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can maybe Dr. Yuvraj can add.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
So thank you, sir. So thank you all for your actually suggestions and comment. It's well noted. Actually, I would like to thank you so much the government of China for supporting us for the Darbar High School. It became one of the major achievement after 2015 Gorkha earthquake. And secondly, for the quality aspects, not only the implementation, we need to have the very good coordination mechanisms within the institutions as well. That's very important. What we, for example, what we did during the initial stage of the planning, we know basically in the case of education sector, the ADB and JICA major supporter at the time, and they we make a one the platform to work together and to discuss together as well and make a common understanding and common guidelines and the implementation mechanism that helps out to duplicate the the implementation modality to the harmonize the system and policy that the makes us to implement the quality way of the output. And the third thing, what I really wanted to highlight is that when we plan, we need to make an integrated planning and implementation modality. We need to develop. We should not go in the patch way. We should not go in the in the scatter way much. So we need to make an integrated planning, and we need to make a harmonized planning, and the inter development partner coordination and inter agency coordination is very important for making the effective planning and the quality of implementation as well. So these are the 2-3 points I really wanted to highlight. For the testing, yes, of course, the testing facilities we have very less, but we have been learning very much. At the time of after the earthquake, we recruited many engineers, site specific the supervision procedures we applied, and we established we set up the different laboratories in the different areas so that they can the support for the testing for example the keep testing or so for the reinforcement testing as well. So that helps a lot for the assurance of the quality as well. And other the other for the transparency and the integrity, particularly from the NRS side, we have the special guidelines. We have the special the coordination mechanism and the information sharing mechanisms with the stakeholder. We always do the some information before signing the agreement, before doing some activity in the local level, and during the process as well, we sit together and inform them the progress and what is the progress, and then also at the end of the project as well, we hand over, we do the MOU for the maintenance and sustainability of the creative facility as well. So there are some examples that I really want to see here. And one more important, yes, we work within the 17 districts, we work within the 14 districts, so we work entire in 31 districts, but we have the many vulnerable infrastructure, particularly in the building, in outside of these 31 districts. We need to think on that. We need to make government need to make a integrated program to assess those vulnerabilities and make a phase-wise or priority-wise program to support for those infrastructure to make them, the earthquake resilient or towards the safer community. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raviraj, for your clarity over the questions. Rajuji, do you have any? Please make your answer.
Thank you, sir.
Couple of minutes.
Thank you, sir. Mostly, I totally agree with Koteria sir's comment that we should be focusing on creating resilient societies, not only resilient building. And that's what one of our key achievement from CLPF building is that from the setup of the when the CLPF building started, our one of the main focus was to revise ADMC 105. So it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of consultation with the stakeholders to arrive at the consensus, to arrive at the revised building code. So the step of now one achievement of revision is achieved, but the higher challenge lies on its effective implementation to create a resilient society. So I think from NRA perspective, we have done the software part. We have revised the code. So now on, we have to focus on, I think, its implementation. How can we implement all over Nepal? That's all I want to comment.
Thank you. Amritji, are you with us? Maybe not.
Yes.
Are you there?
I am here, sir.
Yeah. Do you have something to say?
Sir, regarding the
If any, you
quality,
can take just 2 minute time.
just regarding the quality, we have to check during the design period itself to control the quality. We have monitored the design, if quality, and also we make a laboratory testing as well as a field test. We have to design during the document preparation time, and you can check the quality in the field level also by testing in the field, and we can achieve. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amritji. And I'd like to thank all four presenter for your presentation and answering the comments. Now I'd like to request our Honorable CEO to make your views and comments on these public infrastructure issues.
Thank you, Dr. Hariram Prajuli, our executive board member and the session chair of this session. I would like to thank to all the presenters. You have made a very excellent presentations from your sector, and also all the commentators. You have also provided very valid comments to the paper presenters, so that they will be able to improve the compendium that they are going to prepare. First of all, this I would just like to go especially in regards to the presentation that has been made by Amritji, and in that just I would like to add one point that the connectivity, I think that is to be highlighted, is that the whatever level of the road reconstruction that we have made, it is not only that we have reconstructed the roads which have been devastated due to the earthquake, but it is because there is a need of the mobility of the people and the transportation of the construction materials to the site. That's why we have to have the construction of the roads have to be made where it is inaccessible. That is one of the sort of the experience that we have to also give due consideration for the construction of the connectivity. That is very important. If you look also into the connectivity in terms of the telecom facilities, for example, for the purpose of the, let's say, the reconstruction of the houses and other sort of facilities, also we have been able to have the internet connectivity to all the Palika levels. Yeah, that has been one of the achievement I think we need to highlight. And the one of the weaknesses that we have is that we couldn't manage to reconstruct all of the local government buildings. I think that is one of the sort of the gap that we had because of the fund constraint, as well as because of the federal system, and the responsibility was given to the local concern level of the governments. That's why we are not in a situation to reconstruct all the Palika buildings or the government buildings or the ward offices. That is one of the sort of the gap that we have seen, and then we hope that will be continued by the concerned local government. So maybe this team that we have that will be able to collect the information from all the Palikas and the local government level, to what extent the devastated or these damaged buildings have been either repaired or the reconstructed. I think that is something that we have to also look into. And that is one the point that I would like to just to highlight. And in regards to the views that has given by the commentators, I have picked up some of the points which is to be I think to be looked into very closely. One of the point that from Mr. Luin from Shanghai Construction Group, who have the reconstructed the ring road as well as the Darbar High School under the reconstruction project, out of the 25 reconstruction project which have been taken by the Chinese government. And in one of the point that is very valid is the clearance of the right of way for any reconstruction, or the clearances that is related, either environmental clearances or the land acquisitions or the clearances from the for example the different sort of the the other utility networks, let's say the electricity network or the other sort of the provisions, whatever that is there, that are very, very important for the success of the projects. So that are to be highlighted. I think it is also not only related with the project that is related with the government of China supported this reconstruction project, but it is also valid to all of the other projects that is being taken by the concern or this CLPIUs. Let's say the roads or the other public buildings that has already been created certain level of difficulty. That's why there is a need that the preparation of the project's site, the clearance of the site itself is one of the major tasks which is to be taken into consideration first, and then thereafter the reconstruction or the construction activities can go ahead. So this is the point that I think we also have to highlight. Second is from Krishna Lamsalji from JICA. He has also given the difference of the points which are very much valid, and then I think will be well taken. And the one of the point that he has highlighted that this the engagement of the very good consultants is very, very vital for the quality of the reconstruction. That is very, very important. And the JICA consultant from the JICA has really been very much instrumental for having the quality construction in the JICA supported these infrastructures, and especially the schools and the certain level of roads. And the another point that the first page sort of learnings from the first page was very much useful for the setting the school reconstruction. We have been able to either in the ADB funded projects or the JICA funded projects, any donor funded projects, or in the school SMC led reconstruction as well. We have been able to utilize the learnings that we have in the first page that has been implemented in the second and third page. That is very, very important. And from Mohammed Khan from USAID, I think we are very much delighted for your presence, because I think you are from the US at the moment, and then maybe in the midnight or this in the morning phase. So very much sort of your these suggestions and feedback is very, very important. And one of the aspects that you have highlighted is the vulnerability assessment of the social infrastructures is very, very important, and then it is to be also taken into considerations in the districts beyond the earthquake affected districts. That is very, very important. On that, I remember one of the projects that we had with the government, with the World Bank support, that the social infrastructure assessment of all the schools and the health centers in all of the country. I think that is anyway to be revisited. I think now the NDRRMA has already been established, and we have to work together with the World Bank and the other development partners that how we can really make a new level of the assessment, and then we will be able to start make an analysis of the structural integrity of all the schools and the health centers and even the public buildings also, so that will be on that basis we will be able to plan either the financial plan or the implementation plan in the future, so that we will be having the resilient sort of the public infrastructure in the future. Another point that is very, very important, I think that is also to be highlighted, is the environmental compliances, that how we have been able to use that. I think we have been doing this, and we have also the guidelines for the fast tracking of the environmental compliances or the land acquisitions or the forest clearances, these all. So how we have been able to utilize that, and then how these legal framework have been useful for us for the infrastructure development on the reconstruction of this infrastructure. That is very, very important, and we have to also look into this. We have to have a certain level of evaluation on that, and that so that the learnings in the future that will also be very, very important. In certain, the resilience is one of the major component, but the environmental compliance is also very, very important, and we are also using that and then utilizing that. And another point that the Mohammed has highlighted is the pandemic conditions at the moment. I think that has been highlighted in the housing reconstruction, but that has also been should be applicable also in the public infrastructure as well. So we also have to look into that, and then what sort of impact that will have in the future, and how we are planning for that also. I think a sort of planning for the future that is also to be highlighted. I think that is very important. And then the health and safety, sort of the occupational health and safety, that is also another point that you have highlighted. I think that is also to be taken into consideration. I think there is a need that we have to look into the injuries and maybe I think we don't have that level of mortalities, these death or like that sort of accidents in the overall reconstruction, either the housing or the other infrastructure reconstruction. So we need to have a certain information on that, so that to what extent that we have been successful useful on the occupational health and safety sort of the aspects in the overall reconstruction sort of that we have been able to accomplish. The private sector engagement is very, very vital, and then we also have to look into from the construction industry's perspective, from the consulting industry's perspective, as well as from the private sector, contractors' perspective, construction industry perspective. I think that is also to be to a certain extent that we also have to look into, and then what sort of lesson that we have learned on that also that we also have to also highlight. And from Arjun Koirala, that's one of the aspects that is I have noted is very, very vital is the cost and cost versus quality perspective here. When we talk about the quality, it is ultimately has the implications on the cost, the investment need. So how in that aspect, what sort of challenges that we faced, and then how we have been able to manage on that. I think that is also another aspect. I think all the paper presenters from all the CLPIUs, you may also look into this and also have a certain level of the experiences that you can also you can also point out, and that will also be useful for the future. Pura Kadaria sir, I think you have been very closely watching the Nepal's National Reconstruction Authority. You have also been certain time engaged in the NRA, and then you are also been engaged in the past in 1988 earthquake as well. So with these sort of experiences, whatever sort of the suggestions that you are giving are very, very valid. I think we also have to look into this. One of the aspects that you have mentioned that the sectoral experts, that is the root cause of the not having the sectoral expertise and the specialization in the construction industries or the consulting industries, or even in the experts, let's say in the engineering side of the field also, that are also to be looked into very, very closely, and to an extent that we have been able to address these sort of issues in this regard. That is very, very important. And you have also mentioned that one of the reasons that that we have been able to accomplish finalize this huge scale of the reconstruction is because the management in the NRA itself, the management team in the NRA itself have been specializations in certain level. Specialization is there, and then that have been leadership has been given to these specialized sort of the experts also. I think that is also one of the another reason, because they understand exactly what is the root cause and what is the reason behind the different sort of issues that are coming up and the challenges and that can be that are being faced, and then that can also be very important to look into in the future. Another point that you have also mentioned, that the transparency that has been taken into consideration by the NRA is another major sort of this aspect for the success behind the success of the NRA's sort of reconstruction progress at the moment. And then especially the guidelines and the legal framework, the institutional framework, the modalities of the reconstruction that has been defined. And then certainly it took around almost a year for the preparation of these foundations, but because of that, the NRA has been successful for implementing this completion of the reconstruction works, whatever level the achievement that we have been able to have at this moment, because that we have been able to establish the foundations in the first year, this on the basis of which the results have been coming up in the future. So another point that we have given, that the license is to be given to the masons and the construction workers, so that and they are to be specialized. When you talk about the masons, it is not, if they are in the building, or the masons for the building, they will not be applied. They will not be able to work in the road construction. May not be able to the height of our projects are like that. So we need to have the cadre, the reconstruction cadre or the construction workers and the cadres in each of the field, and then so that we'll be able to accomplish the works on time and with quality. That is very, very vital. And then in this regard, just one sort of the information that I would like to give here, that we are under the process of preparing the roster of the masons in each of the villages, each of the palikas. They are going to make the rosters on the basis of which they will be able to give the license to them, and then they will be later on be engaged in the future construction of the houses in the corresponding municipalities. So with this, I think this session has also been very, very interesting and very much useful. I would like to congratulate and also give thanks to all of the paper presenters and also the commentators. You have also given the very, very valid sort of suggestions, and these will I'm very much confident that these will be incorporated into the companion documents by the concerned authors and the thematic team who are working on this compendium preparation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, you sir. We have received comments from chat box from Rupesh Shrestha, Dipendra Sharma, and Krishna Bahadur Raut. And I think these questions are already covered by our four presenters and you, sir. And of course, we'll incorporate these advices and comments in our compendium. Now I'd like to summarize a few things regarding the presentations. In summary, we finished more than reconstructed or rehabilitated more than 4,000 water supply systems. We finished 583 kilometers of road, more than 6,000 school buildings were completed, 32 irrigation system restored, and 698 health facilities and 415 government building were constructed. And in the meantime, we revised the building code, and it already in decided, and it is in functioning level. And if we look at our 5-year tenure, I think it took more than 6 months for setting up, formulating the guidelines, everything. And our effective time is 4.5 years, and in that time there were very much shortcomings. And there were some kind of administrative, political, and very issues, and changing of our leadership, changing of staffs, everything was there. Beside these things, we have achieved a lot, and if we simply compare the 5 bridges which completed in Gorkha with and I think it was already inaugurated 2 years ago. Within around 3 years' time, we selected the project, and everything we did and already it is in place. And I also got opportunity that to represent in the that handover ceremony. I looked at the quality also, because I graduated from Japan, and really I looked at the quality of these those bridges. It was very nice, and I think that is the symbol, and this is the example. I think in other places also we have achieved, and we have maintained quality of work of and special thing is in the reconstruction of school building, building of 6,000 schools in around 4.5 years time is not a easy job. That is because of what we in forces we implemented through school management committee. If we did not do, around maybe 600 plus building were constructed through tendering process. Looking at these very few numbers, and we established a special kind of policy, and that multiplied, and we achieved that much of reconstruction outcome. Similarly, if we looked at, I don't want to blame the other institutions' capacity and works. However, of course, there is comparison between the progress of work. If we look at the same kilometers of road by other agencies and ours, of course, we can find some kind of differences in the areas of government buildings and others also. So I think in this almost we are in the completing our 5 years tenures. And if we looked at other countries, whether it is Bhuj in India, whether it is in the Indian Ocean countries, that was reconstructed after 2005 earthquake, or it is in Japan or in China, wherever it is, in terms of resources available, in terms of capacity of their resources with ours. And if we compared our achievement and our reconstruction counts a lot, and our progress is very much good, in my opinion. In this situation, probably in our compendium, and this is why Basecom seminar will disseminate our progress. And I would like to thank once again for making I would like to thank Engineer Bharat Prasad Aryal Engineer Amrit Sreshta, Dr. Ibraj Paudel, and Architecture Raju Neupane for your very nice presentation, highlighting all the reconstruction works regarding public infrastructures. And I also would like to thank Mr. Lu Yin from Sahai Construction Group, and Mr. Krishna Lamsal from JICA, Dr. Yamian Muhammad Khan from USAID, and also Dr. Arjun Koirala. And lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Purna Prasad Kaderia for a very instrumental and very critical and encouraging comments. And with these words, I also would like to thank my colleagues, our CEO, and our staff for supporting and engaging in these sessions. And with this word, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Today we have a really great presentations and comments. Definitely we will come up with all of those comments, and thank you very much for the participants. We are in the closing session for today's program. Even we will be continue for tomorrow. For the closing session, I would like to request to chair the closing session to the CEO of NRA, Sushil Gyamari sir. Similarly, I would also like to request to have a seat to the Chandrabahadur Shrestha sir, executive member, another executive member of Dhruva sir, and another executive member of Hariram Parajuli sir. Similarly, I would also like to request to have a seat to the secretary of NRA, Ramkrishna Sapkota sir, and here in this studio, Joint Secretary Bharat Aryal sir, and DPD of CLPIU Education and Building, Yuvaraj Paudel and Raju Neupane sir respectively. So I would like to request all of you be here and take a seat for this closing sessions. So without a delay, for this closing session, I would like to request Chandrabahadur Shrestha sir to give some summary of today's program.
Thank you very much, Ritaji. I think all three sessions went wonderfully successful today. And what are the takeouts today from the today's, sessions? That is very, very much important. Although all of those issues will be recorded, in the housing sector, we received feedback as well as the highlights we have, how to manage post-NRA's period, how to integrate NRA's learnings to the policy issues, policy making issues. Will it remain vacant? Will it remain some sort of, will there be some gap after post-NRA situation, or there will be continuity of this momentum? That was the major worry I have taken this forward. Similarly, how can these best practices can be integrated with various different institutions? That was another major point from all participants. That is from housing sector. Mostly it was appreciated the way how it was acknowledged by all development partners. It was really a good experience actually. The second, heritage was, in heritage, all comments what we received were also extremely constructive. They were breathtaking actually. Where are our lacunas? Where are our shortcomings? How to strengthen them? And it is really acknowledged nationwide that we have some limitations in the heritage sector, and that this nation has to work to further strengthen the heritage sector. That is almost clear that we are NRA is absolutely clear, and that is what it was pointed out by all participants. And we have to act, and we will be trying our best to really make this successful, and then also sustainable intervention in heritage sector. That is the major takeout. I collected this, and then we will definitely take that forward. In public building, there are certain lessons we have, but largely the implementations were taking place. But there are fundamental issues actually. The Purna Kadaria's point of let you identify root cause. I like that very much actually. The root causes. What are the issues behind, and then we have to go there. We should not handle the symptoms. We have to go to the root cause. Maybe that is really worth taking. All other contributors, all other commentators' views were also highly appreciative. But this root cause point was really penetrating. And licensing to masons. Most probably NRA, we have already started something. We have recorded, we have database of masons, we have database of engineers, and we are considering to publish their name, address, as well as contact addresses. That will create basis for making them certified mason, certified engineer, reconstruction certified. So that is the issue which need to be integrated into policy. That has to be integrated into policy framework, and that I think we will work something. Maybe Sunil sir will say something on this. That is something doable, and then we'll make fundamental difference. Because if we have a roster of 100,000, masons, they will be also proud for being recognized, and then that will create basis, technological basis at the grassroots level. Most probably that we have to do. One fundamental issue our colleagues just presented. The fundamental issue was the retrofitting of heritage sites, heritage ancient monuments. That was fundamental. We have been retrofitting, considering that those retrofitted buildings will preserve our traditional heritage characteristics. Will it? That is the question. We are still not clear. Most probably the archaeologists and historians should ponder on this, whether the retrofitted building really are really preserving the heritage characteristics or not. This is the open question. All archaeologists suggested NRA, this is a good idea to do. We did it, but the heritage preservation point of view, how successful we are. If it is, then it has to be replicated, it has to be maintained, it has to be taken forward, but then we should have conceptual clarity on this. It is not really implementation of things, but then it has to be appreciated by heritage authorities like UNESCO, like ICROM. All responsible institutions have to have opinion on this, so that the issues which we have done are really good. Having said that, I would like to thank all paper presenters, including that includes myself, as well as commentators. You were really wonderful. Actually, you took time, you reviewed all documents. It was real contribution from your side. As a convener of this ICNR conference, I am really grateful to you, all of you, and I would like to thank also Sushil sir, as well as our secretary and executive committee members, your dedication for making this program successful. ICNR Secretariat is really grateful for all of you. Thank you very much. This momentum we will carry tomorrow as well, including day after tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chandra sir, for your summing up for the today's program. Similarly, I would like to request to our Secretary of NRA, Mr. Ramkrishna Sapkota sir, to summing up and giving some way forward remarks for us.
Thank you, Retaji. Respected Chair, convener of the ICNR and on this webinar, Dr. Chandra, session chairs, Dr. Haripa Prajuli, and executive member Durga Prasad Sharma sir, joint secretaries, deputy project directors, and the ICNR secretariat, Dr. Adi, and all the team members. Very good afternoon. In fact, I'm really delighted to hear from all of you, and Dr. Chandra has already, described the takeaways. Respiratory chair has, very beautifully and deeply, summarized the session. So I think I have no more things to say. But anyway, when you look at back, today's program, then we have, 3 thematic areas. One was, private housing by Dr. Chandra. Second was heritage by the Department of, Archaeology DG and Rohit Ranjitkar. And a third session was on, public building and infrastructure by Joint Secretary Bharat Aryal and 3 deputy project directors, Dr. Yuvraj Paudel, Deputy Amrit Shrestha, Deputy Raj Nepane. I would like to congratulate you all for your very comprehensive presentation. We understand that you have put a lot of efforts in compiling and presenting these things today. In fact, again, when you look at the challenges, okay, overall, when you look at the challenges overall in all the 3 thematic areas, I think, some are common, like, urgency of reconstruction, urgency of providing services to the people, and political transition during the initial phase of reconstruction. Okay, these are quite common and are applicable to all the thematic areas. While some are more specific, they are also dealt. They have been also dealt with in different, thematic papers. That's the beauty of this presentation. Likewise, when you consider the strategies that the NRA has adopted and the approaches for the entire, reconstruction delivery in the country, then some are mostly common. The bases are common. For example, legal framework, and then, even within the legal framework, transparency, accountability, and then responsiveness to people, and the justice. Grievance handling. These are quite common. And the beauty of NRA so far, I think, is the, having more, communication, more collaboration, and approaching people, the real beneficiaries. And I really, appreciate these kinds of, cross-cutting governance issue, though the entire thematic, subject, theme on governance will be dealt tomorrow. But this is, everywhere, I think, and today's session also partly they include. When we look at the lessons learned, then these lessons are numerous. If we collect the lessons, there are so many lessons. Some are again common. Okay, for example, Build Back Better. It applies to everywhere. This is universal, and this fits everywhere. Likewise, dedicating entity, like, in order to respond to, special types of work, special works, then special entities more, result motive, and that it is, able to deliver the result intended. So these are quite common, but some are more specific also. So this is an opportunity to highlight the specific lessons learned and a common lesson learned, which can be applied to each and every theme, every sector of the reconstruction, and some are more specific, which can be applied to the specific theme. So I think that these are quite important, asset for the future disaster risk response and management. In all these aspects, I think, thematic commentators very beautifully commented and provided their views and observations, which have been, as our convener also told us, mentioned earlier, which have been, virtually or digitally recorded and physically noted. so that we can use those comments while preparing the company these proceedings also. They will, I'm confident, significantly contribute to further reshaping our learnings and key messages so that the development community can find the outcomes of the Nepal's reconstruction easily accessible in the days to come. Having said this, I'm really grateful and honored to share my own views, and I'm really enlightened to hear from all the presentators, commentators, and the session chairs, and especially the respective chairperson of the whole program, CEO sir, which has significantly clarified the issue raised during the commentations, during the presentations. So ultimately, all these cover these three themes in a significant way. So I'm really grateful to have this today. So having said this, a lot of thanks to presenters once again, and the commentators and our entire team. I've witnessed this is the this is the front part of the webinar, but this has been backed up by a number of people, number of technical team, and other our important colleagues. I really appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Great.
Thank you very much, Secretary Sir, by providing some encouraging words for all of us NRA team. Definitely that will help to work better in the future for us. Now we are at the end of today's program, and at the end of today, I would like to request Chief Executive Officer of NRA, Mr. Sushil Gewali sir, to provide concluding remarks and officially close today's program. And I also would like to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ritaji. The program, conducting the program very nicely, the closing session. Respected Secretary and all the executive board members, all the team who have been supporting to this program, all the participants and the people who have been participating in this closing session. First of all, I would like to thank you all for having the participations for the whole day, and also for each of the sessions also. And we have almost on timely around half an hour, I think. Hello, the technology. Hello. Yeah. Thank you very much, and we are almost on time. So this session is also going to be, we are supposed to complete on 5:30. Now it will be maybe around 5:45 or around 6. So that is very good. And on this program today, actually some of the content I don't have to say more because I have been providing my comments and the suggestions and the feedback in each of the sessions, so I don't have to say many things to say now. But only some of the concerns in all of the sessions that has come up is the how the NRA will have the exit strategy, and how the lesson that has been learned at the moment will be sustained in the future. That is one of the major concerns. And in this regard, the major concern that has come up, that how the successor entity of the NRA, that is the NDRRMA, will be strengthened, and what is the roadmap of the NRA to strengthen NDRRMA so that it will be capable enough to take over all the responsibility that the NRA has taken, all the institutional memory and the lessons learned that has been created during the process of reconstruction, that will be utilized properly through the NDRRMA. I think that is one of the major concern. And similarly, most of the reconstruction works that we have made either the housing reconstruction or the schools or the health centers especially, or the local infrastructures. These are all, as per the constitutions, are belong to the local governments. So how the local governments will be strengthened in such a way that they will be capable enough to take such responsibility, and the resilience of the reconstruction or the construction process will be continued in the future. So in that regard also, certainly we are under the process of preparing the whole sort of roadmap. We are already having the disengagement strategy, and then how we'll be working together with the NDRRMA and the NI, and the local governments in the future. We will be having the program. I think the concern that you all have raised will be that will be taken very well, and then we'll be developing the program for this. And then I would like to assure you all that we'll be doing our best to make it sustain in the longer run. And another point, especially in the heritage conservation, also the concerns have also come up, that how we'll be able to have the proper level of the assessment and research before we're going to the restoration of the concerned heritage. That is one of the valid points that we have raised, and how the concerns related to the safety and the value that will be properly assessed. That means the structural integrity of the heritage sites and the monuments. At the same time, the archaeological conservations of the related with the value of that monument, specific monument, will be conserved properly. That is another sort of aspect that we have to think about, and then we have to also look, and then we have to also work on this also in the future. So that will also be looked into, and in totality, there is a need that we have to have a special roadmap, the focused roadmap for making the whole country as a resilient nation. That is the ultimate objective, and how we'll be able to work in that direction. That is another major concern that has come up from all the participants and the commentators and the paper presenters as well. So that will be well taken, and then we'll be able means we all, all the participants, all the people who have been engaged in this process, all the institutions who have been engaged in this process, and then all the institutions who are supposed to work in the future. We have to work together. We have to develop a common plan and then the framework, so that we'll be able to really make our nation resilient. That is the ultimate objective, and then we'll be able to do that. With this, I would like to maybe go for the closing, and then in today's participation, actually in the morning it was around 150 numbers of the participants that we had. So it is a good number, I would like to say, and we also hope that for the tomorrow's there will be more participants who will be engaging, and then the total participants in today's it is around 286 number of the participants have been participated in this program. So that is quite a very good number, and then we also hope that the same level of the participants, or more than those participants, will be there in tomorrow. And the tomorrow will be having around 4 sessions, and then especially the livelihood and economic development is the first one. Then thereafter we'll be having the rescue and relief. Thereafter the governance and institutional arrangement. Finally our impact study, and our impact study, especially socio-economic impact study, that is going to be being under the process of the conduction, and the team will also present on that. So through this we'll be completing the overall compendium set of the presentation by tomorrow. So I would like to again welcome and also like to invite all the participants for the tomorrow's program as well. With this, I would like to thank you all, and thank you very much for all this sort of arrangement, the secretariat team, and the effort that you have made, and all the media team and the technical team that you have made this the progress successful. And we will be meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
And I would like to close this session today. Yeah.
Thank you. Formally, it is closed now. I would like to thank everybody, all paper presenters. I mean, you can leave now if you want, because we would like to have some brief, secretariat meeting here to take stock what went, what is the further improvement tomorrow, what can we make. And I would like to request CEO Saab as well as Secretary to return, as well as executive member colleagues. You can stay actually, and there is nothing, but particularly the communication you can close. I would like to